Well, good afternoon and welcome to a surprisingly good weather Pembrey Circuit down here in South Wales. I'm, of course, joined by Ewan. Ewan, how are you, buddy?
I'm very good, mate. Long drive down, can't deny it.
Very long.
But plenty of racing this weekend. 3 races today, only 3, but 12 tomorrow. Big schedule. But bonus, we're used to 5 truck races. We got 6 this weekend. Why?
6, yes indeed. Well, we have taken a Saturday race on to Sunday morning, and we've been able to add on a missing race from Thruxton Circuit earlier on in the year. Yeah, so I don't know whether you might have seen that. We had a little bit of a bump at the last race at Thruxton. Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah, a little bit of a bump. Well, I was hoping you'd talk into it at some point. Yeah, so if you remember seeing on the feed, it was a very exciting moment. Everybody was fine, so you have all seen the footage now, of course, with Neil Yates just over there, actually, in a very shiny new truck now after that large crash/roll. So yeah, that's coming on to Saturday, and that'll be our first race of the weekend as well.
We've seen some qualifying for the trucks already. Now, is the truck that had the accident okay? Driver okay? Ish.
So the driver was walking around the paddock pretty much straight after the crash, so he's, although having a little bit of damaged pride. The truck, however, isn't as well.
Okay.
But we have, of course, changed the truck now. This is actually Steve Thomas's previous truck, Eleanor, I believe it's called, number 33.
Nice, nice. Also, not all about trucks this week. I know they're the headliners, but also got the MG Owners Club for the locals, the Welsh Sports Saloon Championship, and the pickup truck racing. The MGs actually finish their season this weekend here in Pembrey, and the pickups is their penultimate round of the season, so everything to play for. Penultimate round of the trucks as well.
Indeed, we've only got Brands Hatch left ahead of us.
Can anyone beat Ryan Smith?
Well, the points say possibly not. I mean, Ryan would have to have a very bad weekend for it to make any difference to first place. However, that doesn't take any heat away from the very small points difference between second and third place, Dave Jenkins, Stuart Oliver, and Division 2. My God, that changes the top 3 every weekend at the moment.
And you've got the exciting start. 3 races today, 2 of them are trucks. A little bit busy for you this morning.
Yeah, I mean, we've had split division qualifying as well, so they've really been packing it out with the trucks today. But I'm also, of course, very excited to see those MGs. MG Owners Club, got a bit of a place, a home here at Pembrey. We always do see them down at Pembrey. I actually drove past a few on the M4 on the way down here as well, so it's nice to see those guys. I mean, obviously I'm all about the trucks, but it's nice to see what else is going on. I believe we've also got a bit of a car show here this weekend as well.
We have. There's a lot going on, and considering there's only 3 races today, it's great to see how many people have converged on Pembrey. It's a great atmosphere already. Can I get a prediction for you? Ryan Smith, does he take it this weekend?
I think, depending on this first race from Thruxton, if we can all keep it on the circuit, I think it's going to be sealed and delivered before lunchtime tomorrow.
I mean, you say keep it on the circuit in qualifying, and there was red flags.
And on practice this morning.
Nice. Shall we go racing? Shall we do it?
Let's do it. Let's go racing. We'll see you soon. So, on second thoughts, actually, just before we do go racing, we've of course got some time to speak to some of the drivers down here in the paddock at Pembrey. And of course, as you can see behind me, we've got returning star Jock Borthwick, a favourite of mine. I know we're not supposed to have favourites, but he is one of my favourites. I think, to be honest, he's everybody's favourite, in fairness. Let's head in and see if we can't find him. Now, obviously, here he is, still doing his trousers up, for goodness sake.
Is this live?
It is live, Jack. It is live now. That's it. This is the final cut. This is the final cut. You're obviously, yeah. Hold the mic.
Thanks, Pointy. He's a star, isn't he? And my boiler's not working. Can you have a look at my boiler?
Note to self: if he stood on the laces, you can't do them up. Okay, so Jock, mate, how are we, buddy? It's so great to see you up and about. Still smiling, of course.
We're pretty great. We're fantastic.
So
didn't have a great qualifying, but hey,
I mean, look, does it matter at this stage in the game? You're back, and the amount of effort. I mean, I think it's more the fact doctor's orders that held you away from the circuit for so long, because you were itching to get back in anyway, weren't you? Let's be honest.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. They said I could come this weekend, but I told them I was golfing, no racing trucks.
All right, slightly different exertion then. So do you reckon they might be a little bit annoyed if you told them that you were back on circuit?
No, they'll be fine.
There's a bit more roll cage round you this time than when you had your previous incident though, right?
Craig. Bit safer here as the last time.
Little bit. I'm sure you'd find a way if you wanted to, obviously. So, yeah, so obviously, how are we with the injuries? Because, of course, last time we spoke to you was at Donington, I believe. A big difference to how you looked then. Obviously, you were still chipper. You were always chipper. But, yeah, not great, were you?
With a little setback, I got a bit of infection in it and cost us 2 or 3 weeks on the job, but it's good now.
I don't think it wasn't anything to do with like crawling underneath in like full bandages to change your gearbox on the way down to Donington, was it? Nothing to do with that.
I was only supervising.
Close up supervising, I reckon. So where have you qualified today then?
Oh, terrible. I don't know, to be honest.
Such an honest guy. See why I like him.
Terrible.
Just like whatever.
Well, I was ready to go, and I was at the back of the grid, obviously, because it's on the qualifying position, and I'm following, and I'm getting ready to go in the first lap. Ricky's in front of us, and I thought Ricky was just maybe having another slow lap, so I went to go into Honda, just as that Ricky decided to go into Honda. So we both went into Honda together. My front wheel clipped Ricky's back wheel, broke my shocker mounting off, bent my steering.
So a great start to the weekend then, really.
I just ran down for 3 laps to get the 3 qualifying laps, so
Wow.
I think I'm at the back.
So obviously you'll be having some Thruxton time as well today.
So.
You look like you're on the grid for that.
Hope so. Yeah. I hope we're on the back and just get some track time.
Oh, exactly. I mean, there's points is points. You never know what might happen. You know,
put it down to a bit
you've
of
only got to lose
testing.
14 trucks in front of you, and you might end up in first place. You never-
It's happened before.
Stranger things have happened. Yeah. Oh well, Jock. Look.
I'd like to just take this opportunity
go
to
on.
thank my team.
Oh, yes.
The nurses back up the road that's put us right.
Fantastic.
Scott and Ginty's been up helping us put the truck together. John's been up putting it together.
It's a great support then, basically.
Fantastic. Everybody's been fantastic. All my fans, my people texting, even you, Pointy. Like,
I know, well, I mean, I've missed
and a
you
big
lots,
thanks to
man.
Caroline, because I think I've been worse this last 20 weeks as normal to put up with, like.
Been in the house now. That's the problem, you see.
Yeah.
You're probably like a fart in a colander. You're just never in the house, are you? Now,
That's it, mate.
God, you know, you've spent a lot of time in the building the last few months, Jock. Is there any chance you're going out to work at some point?
Just a massive thanks, and everybody's been brilliant, and it's just great to be back. It really is.
And as I was going to say, on behalf of everybody here, we are so pleased to have you back, and we're so grateful that you're okay as well, because when it spread through the paddock, well, even though we're not in the paddock when we heard, that it spread around the group so quickly that everybody was worried. Everybody was like, oh God, I can't believe it. So, you know, but they say bad news travels fast, but we're glad that the good news has come just as quick.
Brilliant. Great to be back. I love it.
And later on this evening, completely changing the subject, the My Name is Doddy bike event
Brilliant.
that's happening.
I
Are
see you
you involved?
practicing earlier.
Drop me clipboard, don't need that. Yeah, out on 2 wheels. Are you probably going to refrain from 2 wheels?
No, definitely. I've been training as well.
Keep it up on 2 wheels.
I've got my battery charged up and I'm raring to go.
The battery. Is this a mobility thing, or is this
No, it's a proper bike. It's a proper bike.
I've got a pedal bike though.
So
I'm not
have
an
I.
e-bike.
So have I.
I'm not
It's got a
cheating.
battery just in case.
I think we should swap.
I'm only going to use it on the uphills.
Oh,
The
okay.
downhills, I'm not going to use the battery.
Well, most people coast downhills. To be fair, I mean that's not really a deal, is it?
What great for the whole charity, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really good. And
Getting
to be honest,
together.
as well, another kudos to you, because you kind of early on supported it, pushed it through, and you know it's just brilliant what you brought to the sport.
And Holly just pushed it on again. She's done brilliant. So
I think Holly's actually working now with British Truck Racing, doing a bit of blogging, vlogging, online stuff.
brilliant, isn't it?
It's crazy how you get involved in these
And
things,
she's
isn't
the
it?
very kid for it, like, isn't she?
She's fantastic, true personality.
Yeah,
Well, I look forward to seeing you on 2 wheels. I'll
Don't
make
get in
sure.
my way, Pointy.
No, I
I'll be
won't.
on a mission, so
I'll be
don't get
right
in my
next
way,
to
like,
you in case you get a bit wobbly around some of the bends. Okay.
Thanks, mate.
Take
Brilliant.
care, Jock.
Great to be
Jock
back. Thank
Borthwick,
you.
welcome back to
Thanks
the
very much.
circuit.
Thank you.
So here we are now, down with the Division 2 driver Adam Bint, currently ranking in first place or first position for the championship. 13 or 14 points ahead, no one really knows, but we definitely know you're currently in the lead. You also just qualified in first position for the race, well, the first Pembrey race, that is, of course, which will be later this afternoon, at 0.03 of a second quicker than Paul Rivette. Now that was tight because most of qualifying, Paul was slightly further ahead. Where did you find that extra 0.03 of a second?
A lot of it's track evolution, but there's a lot of debris from people going off the circuit all over the track, so it's finding the correct line to use, because the racing line just was not the fastest line, so it's every corner you having to find the fastest and then eventually put it all together. It just took a while to get it. We did pip him at one point and then he come back at me again, and then I've managed to find another like 10th on that, but it's going to be a good hard race, I think.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, Division 2, really the only division that's not had any issues so far this weekend. We had a red flag on practice, we had a red flag Division 1 qualifying, no red flags Division 2 qualifying, luckily. So yeah, fingers crossed, if we don't get held up by the rest of the paddock, you'll be all right.
Yeah, that's the enjoyment is we start on the back of Division 1 as well, so if they have any incidents on the first corner, we'll soon be up in amongst them like we was at the start of the year, so it makes it more exciting for us, more exciting for people to watch, you know, and it makes racing fun, because then these guys have to get past the slower trucks, but you say get past the slower trucks. Now there's 3 trucks in Division 1 that had qualifying laps slower than at least half of the pack in Division 2. So if it wasn't, and that's on paper, man, that's real life, man, hashtag real life. So if there wasn't that distance between Division 1, Division 2 to start each race, it'd be really interesting to see what happens on the overall lap times and where people end up. Yeah, myself and Paul are right up there. Craig Evans just behind, and John Power's having some issues with his tyres, but we'll all be up there with them, and it should make for some good watching, especially with the 4 races tomorrow.
Speaking of the devil, John, come on in. So again, this brings me on to what I was going to mention next, actually, which is the battle of Division 2. Now, Division 1, it's Division 1, isn't it? We know Ryan Smith's doing quite well. We'll speak to him at some point today. But Division 2, literally race by race by race, we see a different order of the top 3 for the championship. And it's all to play for again here at Pembrey, isn't it?
Yeah. Anybody who has a DNF could change, couldn't it? You know, it's quite a slippery circuit. Someone comes off, it'll drop, you know, so just got to get your head down and race, really.
And do you think you're going to be looking for a space to get past Adam in that first corner, or are you going to wait and see where the land lies?
Well, if he brakes like he did and come past me last time, I don't think it'll be a problem. But
I saw that. What happened?
If he isn't going for the gap, then he shouldn't be on the circuit.
Well, he had to make a gap for somebody on that bend at the end of the pit straight. What happened with you locking up on that one?
It's a bit of a confusing, because I didn't know whether he was on a slow lap or a fast lap. So I beat my horn and I touched the brakes on the inside, and there's that many marbles. It
noise cancelling crash helmet.
Yeah, is that what it was?
All I heard was that.
And he just seen me go, woo!
I thought you were just pulling over for the Portaloo, that's all I thought it was.
My 15-minute tacho break.
Yeah.
Well, we've not got long to wait until the first race of the weekend, which is actually a Thruxton race. John, where are you in that race? Are you starting?
I was actually leading it at one point, if I remember rightly, so I don't know if I'm on pole or
I think you're on pole for it.
Well, I might be on pole for it.
So an exciting start to the day, and do you think it's good that we managed to pull that back in before the end of the season?
Well, gives anybody the opportunity, if they've lost some points, to gain some points back. But you know, there's only 4 trucks really, and I don't mean it in a bad way.
No.
So we'll be pretty unlucky if we don't all finish. So, but who knows?
Extra race.
I can't really say, to be fair.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's extra race, so it's a little bit of extra work for the teams, but at the same time, it's good that you're getting that track time back, I suppose, because, of course, you know, it was obviously denied you guys, especially you guys in Division 2. It wasn't really your fault, was it?
No, obviously, the accident happened, and the circuit done the right thing by stopping the race for the safety of the spectators and us as racers. So
well, the barrier was no more afterwards, was it? So even the cars couldn't go back out afterwards.
I'm being flagged in over there. There's obviously something going on.
Oh dear, yeah, you go and make sure you're ready. John, Adam, we'll leave you to it. Thanks for talking to us, and good luck for the weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers. Adam Bint, John Powell, Division 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thanks very much indeed to Ewan and Pointy. Good afternoon from the commentary box, race fans, and welcome once again to Pembrey, the home of motorsport in South Wales. Ready for the first of 2 days of racing with the BARC, the British Automobile Racing Club, headlined by the British Truck Racing Championship in their penultimate race weekend of the year. My name's Dave Goddard. I'm your commentator for these 2 days of racing. A total of 4 different classes will be racing over the course of the weekend, beginning with the Thruxton race from the British Truck Racing Championship. Yes, 6 truck races instead of 5 this weekend. The race postponed from Thruxton earlier in the season in July will kick off the weekend. That's followed by a qualifying session for the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship, the local heroes, if you like. They've got quite a good entry this weekend, a whole variety of cars in there, and they have 3 races coming up tomorrow to decide their championship for 2023. Another championship that's going to be decided this weekend is the Lancaster Insurance MG Owners Club Championship. The MGs have 1 race today and 2 tomorrow. Steve McDermott going for his 3rd title on the bounce in an MG ZR, but Will Sharp is out to stop him in his classic MG Midgets. And we have another truck race coming up to conclude this first day. Tomorrow it's racing all the way. We start at 9 a.m. through to around 4:30 with all of our classes taking part. We'll have a classic car parade coming up as well. See, we kick off with the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship at 9 a.m. We've got the Pickup Truck Racing Championship joining in with their 3 races as well. They had their qualifying session a little bit earlier on today. So qualifying, with the exception of 1 session, is now all done and dusted, and we will be able to move the Thruxton race for the British Truck Racing Championship. The grid set by one of the earlier races in the weekend at Thruxton, the reverse grid being employed here. So it's everything set as it was for race 5 at Thruxton in July. That's Convoy on the Plain. Of course, the race postponed because the truck racing had to be abandoned due to barrier damage after Neil Yates had a big accident when his throttle stuck open on his MAN. But Neil's fine. He's in a new truck and will be out at the back of the Division 1 grid in this next race. All of the truck races follow the same format this weekend. The more powerful Division 1 trucks lining up at the head of the field, Division 2 starting behind. And looking at the points going into this weekend, Ryan Smith, the man going for an 8th consecutive Division 1 title, leads by 50 points going into the first race of the weekend over David Jenkins. Stuart Oliver just 1 point behind him. And if Ryan Smith leaves Pembrey with a lead of more than 80 points by my calculations over the rest of the Division 1 field, he will seal the title with a round to go on Bonfire Weekend at Brands Hatch. Division 2, meanwhile, is less clear-cut because the top 3 only covered by 30 points. Adam Bint, 14 ahead of Paul Rivett, and John Powell a further 16 points back, with Craig Evans 7 points further back. So 4 drivers could still take the Division 2 title. Big thanks to all the partners of the British Truck Racing Championship this year. TRP Truck and Trailer Parts, Vision Track, GBF Fuels, Total Care, Freyhouse Trailers, GT Tyres, MAN, Road Transport Media and MV Commercial. We await the trucks shortly for their first race of this weekend, coming up in about 10 minutes from now. We'll give you the grid for the Thruxton race in just a moment. As we say, set by another Thruxton race at the Hampshire venue, based on the results of race 3 of the weekend it was, but with the top 8 in each division flipped around. So if you finish in 8th place, you will take pole for this one. The man who has lucked in to take pole is Simon Faulkner. He missed the last round at Snetterton for the championship, so he starts on pole in the number 92 Iveco alongside number 46 Bradley Smith, looking for his first win in the championship, the youngest man on the grid in his MAN. Second row, number 12 Michael Oliver and number 68 Craig Reed, MAN and Iveco again. Then on row 3 we've got the championship protagonists David Jenkins and Ryan Smith, MAN TGX and Daimler Freightliner. The 4th row, number 3, Stephen Powell, starts alongside the 10 times champion Stuart Oliver, father of Michael, in his Volvo VNL. The 5th row, 86 Tom O'Rourke from Scotland in his MAN alongside 95 Ricky Collett. Now Ricky may have had an incident in the practice session earlier on this morning, as we heard from Jock Borthwick, so I'll wait to see if Ricky's on the grid for this one. Coming out of the assembly area now onto circuit. Row 6 of the grid will be number 14 of John Bowler. His first season in Division 1 this year, starting alongside number 33 Neil Yates. Then there's a gap of 3 rows and we have the Division 2 grid, slightly less powerful, less modified trucks, headed up by gentleman Jim Bennett, 74 years young, at the wheel of his Seddon Atkinson Strato, alongside number 6 John Powell, one of our title contenders in the DAF in Division 2. Behind them, number 10 Craig Evans in his MAN, alongside the man we just heard from, number 5 Adam Bint in the Volvo White, and Paul Rivett, number 22, the multiple Renault Clio champion, starts alongside number 41 Simon Cole in his Iveco, who's moved from Division 1 to Division 2. over the course of the season after problems with his Division 1 MAN earlier this year. So we've got 4 trucks on track then being brought around to the grid. The rest of them will join us in just a moment. It'll be a rolling start and then a 15-minute race, the first of 6 truck races, a real treat for everyone this weekend here at the Pembrey Circuit. Thanks to everybody who's commented on our YouTube stream so far. Hello to Basher MAN, he's watching at Hatchett's Hairpin, the first corner here at Pembrey. Mark Budgeon says, are we due a dry day's racing? Hopefully. Hi to Frank Rowland, Ethan Dance, Nick Kerrison Davey, who says Bowler Racing overtook me on the M4 yesterday. And there is John Bowler, number 14, MAN at the back of the Division 1 grid. Hi to Dan Stevenson, Brum Racing, and also Posh Stars Hospitality, who says, really hope the boss has a good race. Come on, John Powell in truck number 6 in Division 2. Trucks coming out of their assembly area at the crossing. And there is Ricky Collins. Good to see the number 95 has made it out. Didn't set a time in practice earlier on after a collision with Jock Borthwick. Now, incidentally, you won't see Jock Borthwick in this race. He was absent from Thruxton, of course, so not able to take part in this race. Jock having missed the last 3 race weekends after injury sustained in a motorcycle accident earlier this season. But the Scotsman is back, as we heard from earlier, and will be taking part in a few laps on a bike later on in aid of the My Name's Donny campaign for motor neurone disease research in the charity incentive organised by young Holly Brownsell and her family. We'll see Holly leading everybody around on track. She'll be after Pointy's job soon, I reckon. Hi to Alex Spencer, watching from the circuit entrance. Big fan of Ryan Smith, and there he is on the outside of the 3rd row in the number 1. But it's Simon Faulkner in his Iveco, number 92, on pole position. Comes from Hampshire in the Brooklands Plant and Tools sponsored machine. Made his debut here at Pembrey a couple of years ago. Missed the last round at Snetterton and is quite a way down the Division 1 points table at the moment. He's in 13th place in the championship on 85 points. Bradley Smith alongside him, 4th in the championship, the 21-year-old. Started racing trucks before he was old enough to have an HGV licence. That proves that you don't have to have an HGV licence to race trucks. You just need an ARDS licence, a circuit racing licence. That's why Paul Rivette was able to switch straight into truck racing from cars. Overcast, but so far dry weather here in South Wales at the Pembrey Circuit, just near Bury Port on the south coast of the country. On a former airfield site, the active airfield is just next door to the circuit. You do sometimes see aerobatics pilots practicing over the circuit. Very popular venue for rallycross as well. The BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross Championship, among others, has made several visits this year. Hi to Sean Quibell, watching in Kent, says good luck everyone, good to see Jock Borthwick back. Yeah, certainly has established himself as a great character in truck racing, has the Mad Scotsman over the last couple of years. Scored a win here at Pembrey earlier this year, his first Division 1 victory. Hi to Andy Spate as well, thanks for all your comments so far. So this will be a 15-minute race, a rolling start. The TRP Truck and Trailer Parts pace truck is in position. Marshals and team members just checking the trucks ahead of our first race of the weekend. First of 15 races across the course of the weekend. And we will have also a qualifying session coming up after this. We'll see what the local heroes can do. The Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship, organised by the Welsh Racing Drivers Association, their home circuit here at Pembrey. Although you don't have to be Welsh to race in it. We've got drivers from all over England and Wales come and race in the WRDA series. We'll introduce those to you after this race. Hi to Ellie Wilkie, says let's go Jock Borthwick. Hi to Jamesy Boy as well. Great to have you all with us here at the Pembrey Circuit. So just awaiting the all clear from the marshals to get this first race underway. Can Ryan Smith seal his 8th consecutive British title over the 6 races this weekend. It's 15 points for a win, so there's 90 points available, plus a point in each race for the fastest lap, and 1 point for pole position as well. In the qualifying session this morning, I can tell you Ryan Smith continued his clean sweep of pole positions this season. In Division 2 qualifying, the extra point went to Adam Bint, who snatched pole from Paul Rivett with the very last lap of the session by less than 3/100ths, I should say, of a second. And he leads by 14 points now over Paul Rivett's in the Division 2 Championship, with John Powell a further 16 back. So the Division 2 battle, I'm certain, is going down to the last round of the year at Brands Hatch in November. Truck racing and fireworks, and there's certainly going to be some fireworks on track on that occasion. So it looks like we're almost ready then. Yep, the board is held aloft by the marshals on the start-finish line. And the green flag will be waved. It's the 30-second board. So we'll see the green flag within the next 30 seconds, and the DAF will lead them away. Try and do the mathematics after each race to see how the championship points are progressing. Okay, here we go with the rolling starts. Looks like we got us a convoy here at Pembrey. Stuart Oliver, the 10 times champion in number 7. He's won the European Truck Racing Championship as well in the past. Norbert Kiss, the Hungarian, is the current king of European truck racing. Jim Bennett in the Seddon Atkinson leads the 6 Division 2 trucks. They come down to Hatchett's Hairpin, the tightest corner on the circuit. There's normally a bit of a traffic jam here in the opening laps. There's Neil Yates, number 33, now in a Division 1 truck. He was in Division 2 at Thruxton when he had that big smash after his throttle stuck open on the first corner. So there's Hatchett's Hairpin. You can see how tight it is. Then it's up towards the right at Spitfires, showing the airfield origins of this very flat Welsh circuit. Then the left at Dibeny, and over the crossing where we saw the trucks emerge. There's Dibeny. Then over the crossing where we saw the trucks emerge from the assembly area in the paddock. Through the crossing exit, through the left-hander, up towards Senna. Ayrton Senna at one stage did hold the outright lap record here at Pembrey, because on occasions in the 90s Formula 1 teams did do some testing here. This is Senna corner, the right-hander. We're on board with Bradley Smith. See, it's pretty muddy here if you get offline. A bit of mud's been kicked up there on the grass on the outside of the exit of Senna. And it's down to Brooklands corner at the far end of the circuit, named after Britain's first purpose-built race circuit. Somebody's been off there. You see the tyre tracks heading into the tyre wall. That may well have been Simon Faulkner, because he went missing during qualifying. Then it's along Speedway Straights. Well, to my knowledge, speedway racing has never been held here at Pembrey. The only Welsh speedway track in South Wales was at Newport, and one was briefly open at Carmarthen. And through towards Honda Curve and the end of the lap. Here we go then with our first race of the weekend, the Thruxton race for the British Truck Racing Championship. This will be a 15-minute race. Pace truck into pit lane. Green flags displayed around the circuits. Battle in Division 2 is going to be interesting. The revs are up, waiting for the lights to go out. And here we go with the first of 6 truck races this weekend here at the Pembrey Circuit. Down towards Hatchett's Hairpin for the first time. It's Bradley Smith who's got away well. Look at Michael Oliver straight up the outside. He's never going to get the truck stopped in time there, surely. Yes, he is. He's got it stopped. Brilliant from Michael Oliver around the outside. They've somehow all got round the hairpin. Somebody's gone wide onto the grass there. I think that's John Bowler has hit the grass. He doesn't want to get bogged down in the mud. It's Bradley Smith who leads, ahead of Craig Reed, and down to 5th is Simon Faulkner. A poor start from the pole sitter and the grey Iveco. Division 2 is headed up by Adam Bint, already mixing with Division 1. Look, Neil Yates being relegated back in the 33. Now, John Powell, that is, that's got problems. He said he's been having teething problems with the DAF over the last couple of meetings, so maybe it was him who went off. Similar colour to John Bowler, so maybe got the two Johns mixed up there. Running wide, that's Tom O'Rourke. He's going off. No grip on the grass. Look at the mud he's churning up there. The Scotsman, somebody else. I think that was Paul Rivette going wide behind him as well. So Tom O'Rourke drops back into the Division 2 trucks. It's a bit more slippery out there than it looks, I think. Division 2 headed by Adam Bint, ahead of Craig Evans. Simon Cole's come through into 3rd, so Paul Rivette was delayed there. Across the line they go. Michael Oliver on the grass as well. Are there a few drops of rain falling? I think there might be. I saw Michael Oliver with his wipers on there. It's Brad Smith who leads the way, ahead of Craig Reed by half a second. Simon Faulkner on the outside of Stuart Oliver. Gets a bit of a punt there going into the hairpin. Ricky Collins drifting his MAN. That was how Kurt Goranson would drive it, power sliding like that, the former European champion. Yes, a couple of trucks with the wipers on, so I think the rain has arrived just as the race got underway, which is just about typical luck for the championship. Same thing happened to Snetterton earlier this year. Bradley Smith leads it from Craig Reed. 3rd is Ryan Smith, who as ever has slipped through the gap as everybody else has gone sliding wide. Number 7 of Stuart Oliver on the tail of Simon Faulkner is running well at the moment. It's now 5th place. Stuart gets up the inside of Brooklands. David Jenkins in behind him. Craig Reed is going for the lead in the Iveco down Speedway straights. Can he get the inside line away for this right-hander towards Honda curve? Ryan Smith up on the tail of them. Ryan Smith has won the first and second race of every weekend this year, but of course had to come through from 6th, with this being the Thruxton extra race where he had to start further back on the grid. But it's only going to take him 2 laps to get through the front. Just look at this. Straight up the inside, into the hairpin. Well, he's not even going to get as far as the hairpin before he's in front. We're on board with Bradley Smith. Ryan Smith has taken the lead. Craig Reed cuts the nose off our camera truck, and the Iveco has 2nd as they head out towards the back of the circuit once again. Craig, the only Reed out there in this one. No Simon Reed. We'll see him out later on. He missed the Thruxton round, Simon Reed, so not able to start this race. Work commitments prevented him from racing in Hampshire, so he and Jock Borthwick have had to sit this race out. There are the Olivers, father behind son. And David Jenkins, Stephen Powell, Simon Faulkner, Ricky Collins and John Bowler. Through centre corner they go. There's Adam Bint leading Division 2. Still ahead of Tom O'Rourke after he's off on the first lap. Craig Evans 2nd in Division 2. Then we've got Simon Cole, who's about to lose that place to Paul Rivette. Through goes the Napa MAN. Past the number 41 of Cole, who started the season in Division 1, but his MAN gave endless trouble, so has switched to the Iveco in Division 2. Sliding about there, John Bowler chasing Ricky Collett, the heavy haulage company boss from Yorkshire. Real veteran of British truck racing in the number 95. He's a former champion. That was way back in 1995 and 97. 61 years of age and still going strong. Bradley Smith, the youngest man on this grid. He's just 23. Started at the age of 21. Under pressure here from the number 12 of Michael Oliver. Scored a win here at Pembrey earlier this season, won the final race of our visit in the spring. He's not won since then. His best result has been a 2nd at Snetterton in race 4. Charge their way down Speedway straight. Bradley Smith, the Olivers, David Jenkins, Stephen Powell, John Bowler still attacking. Ricky Collins, the Rochdale LGV training truck. Also sponsored by Rapid Rubber. Plenty of rubber being burnt with the sideways moments we've had so far. Plenty of grass been churned up as well. Phil Davies, the circuit manager, won't be too happy. Still your leader is Ryan Smith. He's clearing off into the distance, as he always seems to. In the first couple of races of the weekend this season, even the reverse grid couldn't stop him here. Started from 6th, was into 3rd at the end of lap 1, and took the lead at the end of lap 2. This is the battle for the lead in Division 2, with Adam Bint holding off Craig Evans. He's desperate for his first win in Division 2. He's had a few second places this year, but yet to win. Tom O'Rourke's got the more powerful MAN ahead of them now. Paul Rivette's third in the Division 2 race. He's had a whole string of wins in recent rounds. He would have scored a maximum at Donington at Convoy in the Park, but in the Tom O'Rourke goes off again. I know I said this is a popular rallycross circuit, Tom, but we're not playing truck cross. As I was saying, Paul Rivette's would have won all 5 at Donington, but a loose turbo pipe slowed him in the first race. He was only beaten in race 4 at Snetterton as well, with 3 wins and a second, so 8 wins in the last 10 races. Across the line they go. Smith has increased his lead again over Craig Reid to 2.75 seconds. He's obviously done the fastest lap of the race, 1:11.24 for Flying Ryan. Oh, Craig Reid's off. Craig Reid's gone off, coming out of the hairpin into the tyre wall. Now what's happened there? He was second, he won't be now. Must have just got a wheel onto the grass and got sideways. That's how slippy it is if you get offline. So we've lost our second place truck. That's going to put Bradley Smith up to P2. Into P3 will be one of the Olivers. Yes, Stewart's got ahead of Michael now, so Stewart's up to 3rd. David Jenkins in 5th. Now, is that going to see a race stoppage? I think it is. Yeah, the red flag's coming out. Just come up on the timing screen. There's the reason. Craig Reid stuck there in the Iveco. He can't get it out of the tyre wall. We'll try and see in replay what happened if we can. That's the race being stopped, with Craig Reid in a dangerous position there. If another truck was to go off on the exit of the hairpin, it would be at risk of collecting him. There were 8 minutes and 4 seconds left on the clock, so we weren't quite at half distance. I would imagine we will see a restart here. Trucks pulling up onto the grid. Fair bit of steam coming from, in particular, Michael Oliver's truck. That's coming from the water-cooled brakes these race trucks have. See the steam coming from the wheels. Okay, race stopped with Craig Reid in the tyre wall. We'll await news on a restart, and we'll see the recovery team in operation as well to get Craig Reid back to the paddock. Let's have a look again. We're on board with Bradley Smith in the 46. Try and see a replay if we can of what's happened there as soon as we're able. So Ryan Smith's progress checked in this first race. Let's have a look again. On board with Bradley Smith. Let's see if we can see what happened. Craig Reid, the red truck in front of us, swings off the hairpin, and the truck just understeers out wide. He just goes straight on. That was rather bizarre. That was as if something broke in the steering there, because he just suddenly changed direction and went straight on into the tyre wall. Here comes the heavy artillery. Tractor being required to drag it off the grass. This is Tom O'Rourke's incident from earlier in the race. Just a little bit too late on the brakes there. We see the look at the left rear wheel locking up as he hit the grass. No grip there. Off he goes. Bit of rallycross. Churns up the grass. And back on again, and Paul Rivette's went wide there as well, trying to take Craig Evans and lost ground. Here are the Olivers. This is just after there. We see in the background, look, suddenly Craig Reed just went straight on. I don't know what happened there, whether something broke in the steering. He came off the hairpin and just suddenly went straight. It was bizarre. Right, the trucks are being re-gridded into, I think, the order that they were in when the race was stopped. So we are going to have a restart here. The trucks haven't been taken back to the paddock. Quick chance to mention some of the partner sponsors of British Truck Racing. Likes of Green Biofuels, GBF, suppliers of high-performance HVO fuel, pioneered by Adam Bint in the championship last year. An alternative to diesel. So no fossil fuels being used by race trucks these days, as Stuart Oliver gets out of his MAN, just performing some checks. Others we've mentioned, TRP Parts, the UK's largest range of truck and trailer parts. Road Transport Media, publishers of Truck and Driver magazine and Commercial Motor, among others. MV Commercial, headed up by Tom O'Rourke. Vision Track Telematics, Freyhav Trailers, Total Care Vehicle Lifts and Testing Equipment, GT Tyres, MAN Truck and Bus, and the Dines Motor Group Recovery and Accident Management as well. Thanks to all of them for their support of the British Truck Racing Championship. Now, hopefully, Pointy has found his way down to the grid there, and we can get some updates from him in a moment.
So here we are down in the pit lane, and not a great first race, or rather re-race, from Thruxton for Craig Reed. As Dave just showed you the replay there on the live stream, it looks like he seemed to have had some steering issues. As he came into that first corner, he just darted to the left and ended up in the barrier. They are, of course, currently recovering that truck. If you look around me now, we are in a bit of a limbo, a state of question. No one really knows what's going on. We were, of course, less than halfway through the race, which means, fingers crossed, we should get a restart. I believe they are just organising the grid to go again. But of course, if they re-grid to the start of the race, there'll be a lot of very unhappy drivers, because of course they made some very good progress in the first half of that. Whereas if they go one lap back, then of course it's going to be a very interesting battle when we get underway for the green light speed down that pit straight. We've got a couple of drivers out of their trucks, but a sea of marshals making their way now onto the circuit hi, how are we? To re-grid them, I believe, and it will be a military operation probably to get all of these trucks now jiggled around. It could be a few minutes' time actually before we see anything. Let's walk around, shall we, and have a chat to people to see what goes on. Hi. How are we?
All right,
are you
mate.
well?
Yeah, good.
Very good. Now, when things like this happen, obviously it's not a new thing, is it? These things happen all the time, don't they?
No, yeah, they do. But,
And what is it that people try to, because obviously people that watch from home, I've seen it loads over the years as well, where all the guys from the teams go and scurry out onto the pits, onto the straight, and let's just have a look at this and have a look at that. What are they actually doing at this stage in the race?
well, the worst of it is when the trucks are sort of done half the race, then obviously their brakes is red hot, and then obviously to come to a complete stop, they need to cool them down, and they don't. So it's a case of, any damage or anything like that can be dealt with, or anything.
So we've seen, of course, brake discs and pads just literally explode because they're not getting cooled down, and that's why obviously all the trucks spray water on them, don't they?
Yeah, and that's it, and it can be very dangerous. Like I say, I don't know what's happened with Craig, but it could be in a disc, could be in a spring or anything. So
yeah, I mean, watching that replay on the stream, I was just telling the folks at home, he was coming round that bend, very tight line, no issues going into it, but then all of a sudden darts left and across the grass he goes.
I'd say it could be anything. It could be the spring or the disc that has shattered and could cause him to go into there. Like I say, everyone's been there and done it. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, to happen at that stage as well, I mean, a good few laps into the race, it's obviously got to be something, of a malfunction. But will we see him getting back out? Is it damage that's going to last for the rest of the day, or is he going to be all right?
Never say never. So he'll be out.
Just needs to rub the grass off the front bumper and he'll be fine, won't it? Thanks for talking to us, buddy. Good to speak to you soon. Let's go and find some more victims down here. Look at them all separating. Honestly, it's like the parting of the Red Sea. I know who we'll speak to. Hi guys, how are we all? Don't be scared. You just checking up the results, or have you got a bet on today?
No bets.
I'll tell you what, you could have bet that something was going to happen in the first race.
Well, you thought it was.
Well, I thought it was going to be first corner, so they all proved me wrong, didn't they? I knew something was going to happen, though. So, yeah, I mean, Bradley obviously making a fantastic start there, really holding his own. Inevitable that Ryan Smith's going to battle his way through the pack. Yeah. But nonetheless, a really good position held by that first half of the race. Do you think that Bradley would be disappointed with that, with the early end to it?
He is, because he's had troubles with the steering all morning.
So it's Craig by the looks of it.
Yeah, I know. So it's and Craig got him over in the back corner, but yeah.
Yeah. So do we think? Yeah. I mean, obviously we've not seen anything of any other kind of contact earlier on, so I don't think there's any question marks there. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How you push a bit harder, you make those moves, all of a sudden a weak spot becomes a fault, and then you're in the tyres.
Yeah. Well, since he had the crash at Donington, we've had a trouble with it understeering, and it's basically undrivable. But he's doing what he can with it, and he got a brilliant run around the first corner there, and you think, go on, son.
There's a lot to be said about Bradley's racing prowess and skill, though, isn't there? I mean, he's obviously, it doesn't look like his truck is in a bad way, so he's obviously doing very well at accommodating that.
I know. So we're just going to persevere with it. Perhaps change the steering box now and just trial and error, really.
Because I mean, you got it back out the same weekend, didn't you, at Donington, and that was insane. I don't think anybody was expecting to see those the green, white and blue back out on circuit that weekend, but you all did it, didn't you?
Yeah, and then we ended up getting it back home, and there was more broken bits on it than we first anticipated, and it ended up back to 2 chassis rails, the engine mounts, straighten the front axle, and so we don't know whether we still got a problem with the front axle but
could be a lot of things. Yeah. And how much of this have you been working on the truck at all? What have you got to say about it, standing over here in the quiet?
I'll try and stay quiet because I'm the magic man of the team. So
the magic man of the team, right? So it's quiet confidence. Is that what it is?
That's what they tell me. I don't think it's true, but
they've got to keep it feeling good, haven't they?
Thankfully, I'm quite local to the boys, so I go up the road from mine. I help them out with the truck and that every now and then. So I do live a busy life myself, but as and when I can, I go and help out and get the truck ready.
It's nice of him to spare a few 5 minutes, isn't it, for you lesser people?
Comes up and has a beer.
Oh right, yeah, that sounds now we're getting more truck racing. And and how's John performance today? He's had some issues, hasn't he?
Yeah, we had some issues initially this morning with the discs on the front. We've managed to get those changed in time, but he got tagged down the bottom there, so by somebody from pole to last. So we're just waiting to see what's happened to him.
Well, this is it, and of course these restarts really can go any way, can't they? Once they get these trucks back under racing conditions, it is anyone to play for, but they are still appearing to make a bit of a pig's ear of the recovery. Not even got him off the grass as yet. Craig Reed still sat there. I'm not sure whether we can get any closer, and of course they're not letting teams out onto the pit straight this time, which is different because of course normally with this much time to spare there'll be the odd check of tyre pressures or water pressures and things like that. People will have a look if there's anything that's been reported in those first few laps. Let's see if we can't find someone else to talk to, shall we? Let's go and attack somebody else. Who have we got? Oh, let's have some officials. Yes, come here. Come here. Well, it is his birthday, but he obviously doesn't want to tell anybody. So it's his birthday. He's actually having a hog roast later on. So if you are in the Pembrey area, there's probably going to be enough meat going about. Right. Marshals, hello.
Hello.
What's going on? What can you tell me, folks?
All regridded and ready to go.
All regridded and ready to go. And do we know anything about the recovery? How long that's going to be?
We don't have a clue.
Don't have a clue. You're just going to wait for the nod?
Yeah, we're just going to wait till the nod.
Wait till the nod. And what about you've got a clipboard? You look slightly more official. What's going on? What's on the clipboard?
Lap charting today.
Lap charting? Yeah. So is this writing down the order each time they go round?
So we come past the start line, we write down the numbers and the order they're in, so we know exactly where they are.
towards the end of the race for the timing.
Does anybody else do that at home? Because that seems like quite a difficult job to me. I write down the positions at the end, but I'm not sure how you manage to keep up.
As long as you can count. I have 10 fingers, so...
Oh, I've never tried using my fingers. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong.
There you go, give it a try.
How long have you been a marshal for?
About 9 years now.
Wow. Have you been doing the trucks that entire time, or are you quite new to this?
This is probably my fifth truck meeting, second truck meeting on the start line. Started on the bank and moved on into assembly.
Also, is that a promotion? Because we're trying to speak to more marshals as we're doing these weekends. I'm trying to get to know the inner workings of the Orange Army, because let's be honest, we see you all around. No one rarely has a camera anywhere near you that we can talk to you guys, and it's always interesting to get a totally different angle on what goes on. What would you say as a marshal is the most impacting thing about incidents like this on the circuit? How does it affect your day or the circuit's day as a whole?
It can throw the timings out, that's the biggest thing. But as long as you get the trucks back into where they are, cars as well, most important thing, as long as everyone's okay at the end of the day, we don't want anybody getting hurt, and get stuff going as quick as we can.
So really it's just the timings then as well, yeah. Always about the timings, isn't it? I mean, it's run on a shoestring as well, the timings. If one thing goes wrong and all of a sudden that's lunch gone, that's afternoon break gone.
Marshals, when the lunch goes, they need that break.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, because you're not allowed to use your phones, are you, whilst you're out and about? Because you obviously got to be watching the whole time. Are there any other kind of random kind of things that you are or aren't allowed to do that might surprise people at home?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can't tell you that, unfortunately.
Can't tell me that. That's Marshall talking at the top, so you're not allowed. Okay, well, what's your name?
Paul.
Paul. Nice talking to you, Paul. Thanks very much. So what's the regrid? Where are we seeing the regrid? So this is, are we going one? So this is the grid we had.
No, this is the regrid. This had the other trucks on it.
Oh, so they've already printed it out based on what you were writing down previously.
Up there.
That is some serious. That's so wow. So if anybody's got a problem with it, Paul's the man to come and see. Have we gone? Let's just have a quick look at that then. So we are regridding with Ryan Smith in pole, Bradley Smith in second. He'll be happy about that. Behind Bradley Smith, we've got Stuart Oliver next to Michael Oliver. That'll be an interesting first corner, won't it? Father and son. Steve Powell next to Dave Jenkins in fifth and sixth. Then Ricky Collett, Simon Faulkner, John Bowler, Tom O'Rourke, Neil Yates in 11th place for that restart. And then in Division 2, we've got Adam Bint starting in front, but next to Craig Evans. Paul Rivette next to Paul and Jim Bennett. They seem to come together. I don't know whether you noticed down that first corner. They had a bit of a hoo-ha first couple of laps, didn't they?
Well, unfortunately, I'm looking this way.
So you just got to counting them as they come round.
I don't get to see what happens, unfortunately. I hear it, but don't
you just wait for the bump and the crash noise.
Exactly that.
Well, Paul, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
That's your regrid. It does appear that Craig Reed is back under his own power and on the tarmac. So if he is going to be in the restart, then I suppose he better hurry up. So I'm going to hand back to Dave in the studio, and we'll hopefully get back racing soon.
Yeah, good to hear from Pointy, and good to hear from a few of the Orange family as well, our volunteer marshals. Thanks to all of them. We couldn't go racing without them. We are on board with a certain Craig Reed, who's been recovered by the tractor and the recovery truck down there, and is making his way back round rather slowly at the back of the circuit at the moment. You can see how overcast it is today here at Pembrey. The timing screen is showing we will have an 8 minutes restart. So we're basically picking up from where we left off with the trucks in the order that they were in when the red flag went out. Thanks to TSL Timing, as ever, our official timekeepers here on BARC TV. Now, is Craig Reed going to take the restart, or is he going to go into the paddock? We'll wait and see. I'm not sure he's going to restart with the truck in that state, the front panel missing. I would imagine he's going to turn left into the paddock. Yes, he is. So the Reed Freight Truck Sport team is going to go to work on that and get him out for the race later on. Hopefully, race 3 of the weekend, the first Pembrey race, if you like, for the British Truck Racing Championship, scheduled to go off at 10 to 5. And the rest of the trucks in position, 2 Smiths and 2 Olivers at the front of the grid. Ryan and Bradley Smith, no relation between those two. And then the Olivers, father and son, on the second row. Pointy's already given the grid, the revised grid. and it will be an 8-minute restart. So let's say around 6 or 7 laps of the Pembrey Circuit. TRP Daff is back in position to lead them round for the rolling restarts. Ryan Smith just opening his door to cool down a bit. It does get pretty hot in the cabs of these race trucks, especially when you're in your fireproof overalls and everything else. So Ryan had pulled out a lead of nearly 3 seconds by the time the red flag came out. He's got it all to do again, but he's on pole. Had to start originally from 6th on this grid. Of course, this grid now revised to be in the order they were in when the race was red flagged. So no points for Craig Reed from race 1. He stays on 196. Simon Reed as well, not competing in this race because he missed Thruxton with business commitments, nor is Jock Borthwick. He was out at Thruxton injured. Okay, the 30-second board has been held aloft. The pace truck moves off. Just waiting for the green flag from our marshal on the rostrum. And then the marshals will vacate the pit lane in the interests of safety. There's Neil Yates, thankfully none the worse for his big accident at Thruxton earlier this year. Tom O'Rourke alongside him. There's the Division 2 trucks headed by Adam Bint, who's led from pole position. We've lost Simon Cole, unfortunately. We saw during the break with Pointy there, his truck's in the pit lane. Waits to see if he's going to restart. And we're on board with Adam Bint, who unfortunately his onboard camera's fogged up a bit. It's not that foggy here in South Wales, unfortunately, so apologies there. Hopefully that'll clear as the race goes on. Coming up to Hatchett's hairpin. See from this angle just how tight that hairpin is. Tricky in a car, never mind a truck. Thanks to Richard Barwick, who's in charge of our onboard cameras this weekend. Normally it's Chris Clark, but he's gone to Australia for the Bathurst 1000 touring car race. The lucky devil. There's Simon Faulkner, was initially on pole for this race, but fell back off the starts. Still learning his craft, only his second full season of British truck racing in the ex-Reed Iveco. Thanks again to all your comments. Hi to Tim Brady. He'll be at Pembrey tomorrow, he tells us. Hi to Mark Tucker as well. And GB says good luck, Paul Rivett, as does Juliet Rivett. Quite a few Paul Rivett fans watching. There is Paul, the number 22 MAN. Looking to close that gap of 14 points on Adam Bint in Division 2. Division 2 field a little bit smaller than in previous seasons, but that's because a few of the leading runners have moved up to Division 1 for the 2023 season. In recent years, we've seen Stephen Powell and Craig Reed make the move up. This year, John Bowler and Jock Borthwick have joined them. It's Ryan Smith on pole in the bonneted Daimler Freightliner, alongside Bradley Smith in the MAN, and Michael and Stuart Oliver, David Jenkins and Stephen Powell, and Faulkner, Collett, Bowler and O'Rourke. Neil Yates at the back of Division 1. Pace truck is in pit lane. 8 minutes for the restart of British Truck Racing Race 1 of 6 this weekend here at Pembrey. They postponed events from Thruxton. Revs are up, waiting for the power to come on. These 1,000 horsepower engines. Here we go. Got Ricky Collett up the outside in the 95. Ryan Smith's got the run into the hairpin. Bradley Smith covering on the outside. Michael Oliver trying to get up the inside into Hatchett's hairpin for the first time. Ryan Smith's held his advantage. Is Ricky Collett going to be able to make up it today? So Adam Bint's been boxed in there. There's been some contact there. I think Bint could be in trouble there. Paul Rivett goes through. That's the last thing Adam wanted to see. Now, has he got some damage? I think there was some contact in there going into the hairpin. Simon Cole there in the background has joined in from the pit lane. David Jenkins goes wide as they go into the crossing. Now, who's leading Division 2? Let's look back. It is Rivette who's got through. They start to sort themselves out. Not the best of starts for Bradley Smith. He's dropped back. Great start by Ricky Collett, charging up the outside into the hairpin. He's made up a few spots. Started back in 8th on the grid. It's Ryan Smith who leads the way and already clearing off. The Olivers first, 2nd and 3rd. And 4th is Ricky Collett. Great run down the outside in the early stages. Bradley Smith runs wide. We heard during the break, during the red flag break, he's been having handling problems with that truck after that damage at Donington, and David Jenkins goes through. Stephen Powell, the man from Kent, trying to get through as well in the number 3. Bradley Smith tries to fight back. Behind them it's John Bowler. Now Ryan Smith already nearly 2 seconds up as they go over the start-finish line. Here comes Stephen Powell, chasing fellow man of Kent, Bradley Smith in the 46. It's Bowler trying to go around the outside into the hairpin. That's a brave move on the brakes. We saw what happened to Craig Reed when he tried that. Well, admittedly, I think that was a mechanical failure that pitched him off. Behind them, the Scotsman, number 86, Tom O'Rourke, the boss of MV Commercial. Bradley Smith, yes, that's MAN. He's not handling well at all. He's all over the place there, coming through Spitfires. Loses out to Stephen Powell. John Bowler gets a wheel onto the grass. He'll lose out to Tom O'Rourke. They're sliding all over the place as soon as they get offline. Simon Faulkner's in there as well. Great stuff in the midfield in Division 1. Paul Rivette's catching them up as well. He leads Division 2, but Adam Bint, after a bit of a slow getaway this time, is catching the MAN in the older Volvo white Aerodyne. Very menacing looking truck, that's in its black and orange livery. Chasing Rivette for the lead. 3rd in Division 2 is John Powell. Then it's Craig Evans. Neil Yates has dropped behind them. He's in a Division 1 truck. 2.5 seconds now the lead for Ryan Smith over Michael Oliver at the front of the field. Stuart Oliver in 3rd. David Jenkins battling it out with Ricky Collett. Pulls ahead into P4 as they come down the pit straights. David Jenkins finally broke his duck for the season with a couple of wins at Snetterton last time out. He remains 50 points behind Ryan Smith in the point standings. They'll be further behind if it stays like this. We'll try and do the mathematics as the weekend goes on. See if Ryan Smith can seal that 8th consecutive Division 1 title. I would say it's unlikely this weekend because he needs to leave this weekend more than 80 points clear of the rest of the field, because that's what's on offer at Brands Hatch in the last round of the year. 15 points for a win. There's 5 races at Brands Hatch, plus a point for pole and a point for fastest lap in each race. So there's 81 points available in the final round. Similar total on offer this weekend as well. 15 points for a win here. Stuart Oliver up alongside his son Michael. Family ties being ditched here. Stuart goes through up into 2nd place. He wants to go after Ryan Smith. It's 4.5 minutes just under to go. Black and white flag goes out. That's the driving standards flag for Ricky Collett, number 95, and number 22, Paul Rivette. I would presume that's for exceeding track limits. If they do it again, they might risk a time penalty. Bradley Smith has dropped down to P7 in his poor handling MAN, chased by Tom O'Rourke and John Bowler. Bradley Smith, of course, had that big accident into the tyre wall at the Craner Curves at Donington at Convoy in the Park in August, and somehow the team rebuilt the truck for the next race. But the front steering and suspension have suffered, and it's not handled the same ever since. There was a cloud of smoke there in the background. Somebody, I think, just had a lock-up going into the hairpin, or it might just have been steam coming off the brakes. And understeering wide there, Tom O'Rourke goes rally crossing again. We mentioned handling problems. I think Tom O'Rourke's having some here. John Bowler behind him. It's the battle for 8th place. Simon Faulkner getting involved as well, the number 92. Again, O'Rourke goes wide. He's all over the show. Here comes John Bowler. No, you don't, says Tom O'Rourke. The Division 2 leaders aren't far behind them. Paul Rivette's still ahead of Adam Bint. This is great stuff. 3 minutes to go in our first of 6 truck races this weekend at the Pembrey Circuit. Ryan Smith is cleared off in front. He's over 4 seconds clear of Stuart Oliver now. Michael Oliver 3rd, then Jenkins, Collett, Powell, then Bradley Smith. We watch the battle for P8. And Division 2 as well, with Paul Rivette leading Adam Bint. The gap there is 0.7 of a second. Through Hatchett's hairpin. I hope the same isn't happening to Adam Bint's windscreen as has to our camera. Otherwise you won't be able to see anything. course, the one non-runner, that's Craig Reed, of course, didn't take the restart, crashed out of second place. Incredible sight these trucks make. They may be limited to 100 miles an hour electronically for safety reasons, but they always look as if they're going so much faster. Adam Bint is getting closer and closer to Paul Rivett in the MAN. Still Tom O'Rourke holding off John Bowler. Behind John Powell holding off Craig Evans. Neil Yates behind them, the recovery company boss from the southeast. Ryan Smith, the lead gap has come down a little because Stuart Oliver just did his personal best of 1:11.422. Ryan Smith, the fastest lap of the race, 1:10.861. Stephen Powell all over the back of Ricky Collett. This is the battle for 5th position in Division 1. Ricky Collett had a great run last time out at Snetterton, picking up a podium in the final race of the weekend. Still these two going at it, O'Rourke and Bowler. Just over a minute of this race to go now. Ryan Smith will be coming up to start his final lap. We've hardly seen him all race long because, as expected, from being elevated to pole position, he's cleared off into the distance, as he always does from pole. Stuart Oliver in second. Over the line goes Flying Ryan, begins his last lap. Are we going to see two Olivers on the podium? Because Michael's being reeled in by David Jenkins. Two bonneted trucks, the Daimler Freightliner and the Volvo out in front, then the two MANs. Can David Jenkins get onto the podium? The answer is yes, because Michael Oliver's gone wide coming out of Hatchett's hairpin. Now, was there contact there? We didn't see. I don't think there was. Jenkins is through and up into P3 in the Digraph Transport Morris Lubricants MAN. Now he'll try and close down Stuart Oliver, but I think he'll run out of time to take P2. They're not going to catch Ryan Smith. He's heading for yet another race victory. He's won the first 2 races at every race weekend this year. Taken 14 wins in total, and it's about to become 15 wins for the season for Flying Ryan Smith. A Nottinghamshire driver comes out of the final corner at Honda. The checkered flag is at the ready. Ryan Smith starts the same way as he has every other weekend this year. He wins the postponed Thruxton race. Second goes to Stuart Oliver. We'll wait to see who's going to be third. This is a battle further back in Division 2 between John Powell and Craig Evans. David Jenkins has taken third. Now for Division 2 it's going to be Paul Rivett. He's pulled away a little from Adam Bint. This is going to close things up in the Division 2 points. As they come towards the line, the win in Division 2 will just go to Paul Rivett, ahead of Adam Bint, picking up where he left off at Snetterton. Powell third, then Craig Evans. Neil Yates in the Division 1 truck comes across the line behind them. And next home should be Simon Cole, who, despite starting from the pit lane on the restart, has caught and passed Jim Bennett. Yes, there is the pink and white Iveco. And Jim Bennett, Gentleman Jim, will be the final finisher in the Seddon Atkinson. So Ryan Smith starts as he means to go on with win and fastest lap. I can tell you John Bowler has picked up a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. That'll drop into P12 overall, 10th in Division 1. So we'll try and add up the points then. That's 16 points for Flying Ryan Smith. There's Gentleman Jim. Certainly a fan favourite in his Seddon Atkinson. We'll have the provisional results for you in a moment as well. Here they are. Ryan Smith the winner by just over 4 seconds ahead of Stuart Oliver. Win number 15 of the season for Flying Ryan. David Jenkins passing Michael Oliver on the last lap to take third. Ricky Collett a fine 5th ahead of Stephen Powell. Great start on the restart there by Ricky. Bradley Smith dropping to 7th from the front row ahead of Tom O'Rourke. Simon Faulkner completing the top 10. Paul Rivett, who beats Adam Bint by just over half a second to win Division 2. John Bowler next turn after that 5-second penalty. Then John Powell and Craig Evans 3rd and 4th in Division 2. Neil Yates, Simon Cole and Jim Bennett completing the finishers. Of course, we lost Craig Reed, bringing out the red flag. So I'm going to do some mathematics then, and we will wait to hand down to Pointy, who will be in Parc Fermé very shortly.
And as if by magic, here he is, down in the winner's circle, we'll call it. We are here. Ryan Smith taking a first place for the first race here at Pembrey, which of course is actually the last race at Thruxton. Gordon here to get memory cards, of course, for all of the onboard cameras, and we'll also have Stuart Oliver shortly as well. Congratulations from the team. Come on over. How are we? Well done.
Very sweaty.
It is. It's warm. It's strangely warm today. We've got Dave Jenkins coming here to congratulate you as well. So, restart. You battled your way through before that first red flag, didn't you?
Well, restart comes, sat in cab, really hot. Opens the cab door, cools down a bit, and just thought, you know, when you've got that nice lead and you've got noises in your head because we just want to finish and stuff. You get them noises and you're a little bit pessimistic, should I say. Great to get the win from the Thruxton race, to say we started on in P5. A few alterations we're going to need, but no, I'm absolutely delighted.
So, I mean, it's obviously looking slightly further back. Shame for Bradley Smith losing out on that restart, 'cause he was doing quite well before the red flag, wasn't he?
Gutted for him, and I'm gutted for the Reedy as well, because them two was in a beautiful position, nobody attacking them. It's unfortunate, isn't it? But you know, sometimes it's the way racing goes. They'll come again. They're both young, so Stuart was going well, and Michael was doing well. Michael was doing really well as well.
Holding his own 200ths of a second behind Dave Jenkins as they crossed the line.
No, it was. Well, it was good.
Well, thank you very much, Ryan. Go grab yourself a drink. Stuart Oliver, very good race. You did much better in that restart. That worked out perfectly for you, didn't it?
It did, yeah, but I had to say I was worried because the truck was boiling because we stopped so short on the grid.
He was really hot as well. Ryan was just saying how hot it was on the grid.
Yeah, and the truck didn't like that at all, you know, and I was worried because it was like 110 degrees coming up and everything was flashing, and oh my god, but it cooled down once we got going.
Once you started pushing, it cooled down.
Yeah, that's right.
How interesting. I didn't see it personally, but when did you make the move on Michael?
He went going round I don't know what it's called, around the back on the hairpin.
Yeah.
I saw he went in too deep, and I thought, oh, that's not my boy doing things like that.
Yeah, I know.
And there was just an opportunity just to get up alongside him. Well, then obviously the next one's the right-hander, so we went round together. You know, I didn't want to push him off because it would mean they'd have to fix it.
Well, of course. Well, maybe now time for a swift fatherly talk then, because he also went a bit deep on corner one, which let Dave Jenkins past him on that last lap. He'll be kicking himself for that one, I'm sure. 200ths of a second we just spoke to Ryan Smith about behind him as they crossed the line. It was like that. So, yeah, go easy on him, all right?
No, well, no, that's my boy, you know, you've got to look after him. But no, I'm proud of him, you know, it just he hasn't been in it that long and he's up there at the front, you know, so... no.
Well, we better let you get the truck back to Parc Fermé. We'll have a chat to you over there. Thank you very much. Right, we're going to head back across the circuit now because, of course, there is more racing and we are slightly behind. So I'll hand back to Dave to go through some replays, possibly a word from our sponsors, and we'll do some more interviews over in Parc Fermé. Back to the studio. What was meant to say that?
You've said that plenty of times this season, Pointy. Thanks very much indeed. So, looking at the points, I've done a couple of quick calculations here on my spreadsheet. And the lead gap now in Division 1 is 53 points. This is my calculation only, not to be taken as official, but unofficially, Ryan Smith with the win and fastest lap in Division 1 leads David Jenkins and Stuart Oliver by 53 points. They are now level in second place, with Oliver a place ahead of Jenkins there. Bradley Smith 101 points behind, so it's really between those three for the Division 1 title. In Division 2, the gap is the same at 15 points, because while Paul Rivette won ahead of Adam Bint, it was Bint who got the fastest lap. So they both score 15 points. 14 points in it now in the championship. John Powell slips a couple of points further back. He's 32 in arrears. Okay. So moving on, next we have a qualifying session for the Welsh Racing Drivers Association Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship. Now, the great attraction of this series is that you can use just about anything you like. As long as it's not a single-seater, then you can bring it out and race in it. We see all manner of cars over the years, likes of kit cars, radicals, even a couple of super touring cars in the past. Alvin Powell used to race his ex-Paul Radisich Ford Mondeo for many years in this series from the 1990s. I think it might have been actually the chassis that Paul Radisich won the Touring Car World Cup in that Alvin owns. Won't see it out today though, sadly. We've got a whole variety of cars that we'll see on track though for the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship. Looking at the championship, currently leading the points, it is, as the trucks leave, it is the Class 2 Mazda RX-8 of Wayne Spiller, looking to take his first championship, the rotary engined Mazda. Championship which has been running since all the way back in 1990. It was the late Blake Edwards, later defined fame as a safety car driver, who took the first two titles. That was in a Ford Capri. Martin Davies has been the most successful driver in history with 4 titles in his Ford Sapphire Cosworth. Even some Welsh-built cars have won the title a couple of times. The 2 Darien T90s of Graham Cole and Peter Dark in the late 90s took the title. Keith Butcher, the well-known car collector, has took the title as well. He's raced super touring cars and even a ex-Team Rosberg Audi R8 GT3 in the championship. So it'll be a qualifying session for them next, which is over 20 minutes. We haven't got the reigning champion out there, which is Colin Dunn in his Renault Clio. We do have the 2021 champion Gareth John. He's in a Ginetta G40, running in Class 4. And the 2019 champion Damien Longatano in his incredible Westfield SE, 2-litre engine under the bonnet. It weighs virtually nothing. It goes like stink, that car does, in a straight line. We saw it take a win from the back of the grid when we visited Pembrey in the spring. The different classes in the championship. Class 1, got 2 entries there. That's for saloon, road sports and GT cars up to 2 litre on treaded tyres. Got a couple of Fords in that class, a Focus and a Ford KA of all things. Class 2 is for saloon, road sports and GT cars up to 2 litre, no restriction on tyres. That's got the 2 Mazda RX-8s and a couple of Renault Clios. Class 3 is for over 2,000cc, plus motorcycle engine cars and kit cars up to 1,600. No restriction on tyres. 2 entries in that. We've got a BMW Mini. You can see that car there. That's Robert Rees' BMW Mini. And a couple of cars there. BMW Saloon as well. Class 4, which is for supercars, as their own, up to over 2 litre. And supercars up to 2 litre, sorry, and production kit cars up to 2 litre. No restriction on tyres. That's where you see that extraordinary bewinged Westfield. What a car that is, of Damien Longatano. Also Gareth John's Ginetta. Class 5 is for the big supercars of over 2 litre. There's 1 entry here this weekend, Chris Everill with his red Ginetta, number 169, the Ginetta G55. We've also got an invitation class, which won't be scoring points, which is for drivers who are not registered for the full championship. There's one of the cars in the invitation class. That's Cornish-based Fabio Luffarelli in his Space Frame Mini with a 1,000cc motorcycle engine. Just look at that, a proper little special saloon. Isn't that a cool-looking car? Chasing the Ford Fiesta of number 53, Verity Banks. Now, I've got to change that on the entry list because she's down as racing a Ford Focus, not a Fiesta. That's definitely a Fiesta ST she's at the wheel of. It's a class-based structure, 20 points for a win in your class. It does depend on the number of entries in your class, though, so we'll not officially declare the champion, although it is the final 3 races this weekend. So we won't make any official declarations, but In the points, it's Class 2 man Wayne Spiller with his Mazda RX-8 who leads the points. He's 29 ahead of Mike Cook, the leader of Class 3 in his BMW Saloon. And third in the points is Craig Attard, the other Mazda RX-8, as Fabio Laffarelli locks up in his little mini special. Very much in the 70s special saloon mould, that car. Fabio's also raced a motorcycle-engined VW Corrado-based hot rod in the past, in the Intermark Silhouette Series. First lap times beginning to come in. Damien Longotardo, not surprisingly, quickest in his Westfield. Let's see what he does this time as he goes across the line. A 1:03.659 that time through. That's about 7 seconds quicker than the quickest of the trucks have been lapping. And that's extraordinary little bewinged Westfield. What an awesome little car that is. Second quickest is Chris Everill, number 169. In his Ginetta G55, it's a GT4 spec car, so I think the overall victory is going to be between those two. Third fastest is number 5, which is Derry Davies, Wales's fastest butcher, at the wheel of a Darien T90, the Welsh-built car. And fourth quickest is Fabio Laffarelli in the little Mini 1000 Saloon. Fifth fastest is Gareth John, the former champion, in his Ginetta G40. And sixth is the first of the RX-8, that's Craig Attard. So Wayne Spiller needs to get a bit of a spurt on here if he's going to catch his class rival. Behind Attard is number 39, which is John Morris. He's in a Vauxhall Tigra Silhouette with a 2-litre race-tuned engine. There's Gareth John, the little Ginetta. And there's Chris Everill, the bigger G55 version. Derry Davies in the green Darien, the man from Aberystwyth. But you don't have to be from Wales to race in this championship. Verity Banks out there in her Fiesta. She's from Farringdon in Oxfordshire. We've got Mark Williams in his Renault Clio, number 180. He's from Bristol. Of course, the Laffarelli family, who've raced in this series over the years. Fabio, Tyrone and Melissa have been based down in Cornwall for many years. We've got Ruben Taylor in his Peugeot 206, booked in to race this weekend, but he hasn't appeared on track yet, so I don't know if Ruben's here in his Peugeot Silhouettes. We've got John Morris from Hereford with his Tigra Silhouette. And also booked in to race, I note, was number 13, Alan Smith. He used to race a Ford Sport Cat in this championship, but he's down to race something called an NMR Kawasaki, which I assume is some sort of kit car, but we haven't seen this out on track yet. Now, qualifying takes place today and the races are tomorrow, so they might turn up then, the couple of extras, and go from the back of the grid. Alan Smith comes from Barnsley. Also out there we've got Roger Dowden. There's Roger, the little Davrian as opposed to Darien. That's a 1-litre engined little sports car. The original Davrians had Mini or Hillman Imp engines when the company was first alive, based in England. It was revived in Wales a few years later, up in Lambton. And there is a Darien T90. Believe it or not, one of those cars back in the 90s won the British GT Championship outright. There's Derry Davies from Aberystwyth. You don't get many butchers who take up motor racing. As opposed to Keith Butcher, who used to race in this championship and won it a few years ago. Derry Davies competing in the invitation class. He's third quickest. Chris Everill's now gone to the top of the times on 1:08.801 from the Ginetta. And Longotardo's done a 1:09.46. So they're the pace setters. Derry Davies has done a 1:02.197. So he's at 1 1/4 seconds off pole for the first of the 3 races this weekend. Just taking a look at the timing websites. I think it's this session sets the grid for race 1, and the results of each race sets the grid for the next one. There's number 15, the BMW Mini. That's Robert Rees from Llanelli, local man to Pembrey, and his BMW Mini R56 Turbo. He's setting the pace in Class 3 at the moment. His rival is Mike Cook, who's got a BMW 330 Club Sports. 14 cars on track at the moment. We are scheduled to have 18 cars here. There's John Morris in the Tigra. That car was blue and black the last time I saw it. It's now in that very striking white livery. Space frame car, a bit like a national hot rod that you see on these short ovals. Longartano's gone quicker again. He's done a 1 minute .541. So 0.26 quicker than Chris Everill. Average speed of over 87 miles an hour around the Pembrey Circuit. This championship used to have a rule that you couldn't lap Pembrey in under 60 seconds, or your lap would be disallowed. But given that Longartano was lapping in the under the 1 minute bracket when we were here in May, I don't think that rule is in existence anymore. So it's Longartano from Everill, Derry Davies third quickest, then Fabio Lofarelli in the Mini, John Morris in the Tigra, and Gareth John from also from Llanelli in his Ginetta. There is the Mazda RX-8 number 96 Wayne Spiller. That's the championship leader. That's number 18, which is another RX-8, Aaron Edmonds. He's in the invitation class. So we've got 3 Mazda RX-8s out there, the 1300cc rotary engine cars. John Morris gets around Verity Banks in the Fiesta. It's just under 12 minutes of this session still to go. It's a 20-minute qualifying session for the Welsh Racing Drivers Association Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship. Welsh Racing Drivers Association formed back in 1981 to establish club racing in Wales. Big lock up there for one of the RX-8s and a spin. Look out, Roger Dowden in the Davrian. That was the number 18 of Aaron Edmonds, the man from Cumbraen, who spun it there. So that spoilt the lap for Longartano and also for another of our Mazdas there. That was Spiller, I think. Flash of flame as Edmonds gets back underway. Derry Davies has just gone quickest and he's pulled into the pits as well. So Derry Davies with the 1 minute .402. So those leading runners all separated by just 0.18 of a second, the top 3. Davies, Longartano and Everill. And the championship does have some away days as well. They go to Donington and Silverstone every year. There's Derry Davies. Wonderful looking car, the little Darien T90. It's back underway for another run. It's a company based in Lampton, originally founded in London back in the 60s as Davrian. Combination of its founders, Dave and Ian. Tim Duffy revived the company in Wales in the mid-80s. I believe Derry Davies' version is powered by a Millington-tuned Vauxhall engine, the number 5 car, the 2-litre engine. It was 1996 that a Darien won the British GT Championship. Swansea Metropolitan University were running the car. Try and look up who the drivers were in that season. It was Longartano, second quickest. 1 minute .541, his quickest lap. Everill's done a 1 minute .582, and they're nearly 5 seconds quicker than everybody else. And John Morris goes up in smoke. Oh dear, the Tigra 6th fastest, but he'll be going no further in this session. I hope that hasn't ended his weekend. Great shame for the man from Hereford in the 2-litre Vauxhall Tigra. Has appeared in the Castle Combe GT Championship with that car in the past as well at the Wiltshire Circuit. Undoes the window net. John's perfectly okay. Looks like the engine has let go though, unfortunately, and one of our Mazdas going slowly as well. The Rocket Dog Racing number 56 of Craig Attard from Cardiff. Maybe he was just looking for track position to do a flying lap and gets that position now. But I think the red flag may have come out. Yes, red flags. That'll be for John Morris's stranded cars. Should check for any fluid on the circuits. There were 8.5 minutes of that qualifying session to go, so we'll wait to see if we get a restart. We'll run you through the times. while we have this pause. Derry Davies in the Darien is quickest, 1 minute .402. Second fastest Damien Longatano in the Westfield, 1 minute .541. Third fastest Chris Everill in the Ginetta G55 GT4, 1 minute .582. It's 0.18 of a second covering the first three. Fourth fastest is the Mini of Fabio Loffarelli, 1 minute 5.260. Fifth is Gareth John in his Ginetta G40, 1 minute 6.127. John Morris, sixth quickest, but I fear if that car's blown its engine, that will be the end of his weekend, sadly. Seventh fastest is Aaron Edmonds, the car we saw have a quick spin attach it earlier on, the Mazda RX-8. Eighth quickest is Craig Attard with his RX-8, quickest in Class 2. Ninth is the BMW Mini of Robert Rees, number 15. He's quickest in Class 3. Wayne Spiller is 10th fastest, number 96, with his RX-8, second in Class 2, looking to take the championship this weekend. 11th fastest is Roger Dowden, number 6, in his Davrian Mark 6. 12th quickest, number 88, which is the Renault Clio of Andrew Williams, the Hillcroft Garage car. 13th quickest, Mike Cook in the BMW, number 52. And 14th quickest, it is Verity Banks in what's listed as a Ford Focus, but it is a Ford Fiesta. John Morris gets out of the Tigra, inspects the damage to his engine. And we'll be back underway just as soon as we can. 8.5 minutes of this qualifying session still on the clock. Everybody except a couple of cars back in pit lanes. So cars that were on the entry list but we've not seen. I will check in a moment. We'll see if there's been any amendments on the online notice board from BARC. First of all, see if anyone has withdrawn. As the rescue vehicle comes in. There's no notification of any withdrawals at the moment, but cars we have not seen are Russell Haggerty with his Ford KA. Russell, a former champion as well a few years ago. Yes, it was 2009-2010. Russell Haggerty took the Class 1 Ford KA to the championship, but he's not appeared in this session. We're missing one of the Clios as well. Mark Williams from Bristol hasn't appeared. And a couple of our invitation runners. Alan Smith's not there with the NMR Kawasaki, whatever that is. I assume it's a kit car of some sort with a motorcycle engine. And Ruben Taylor's Peugeot 206cc hot rod hasn't appeared either. Hopefully we'll see them out tomorrow. Okay, just looking at the timing screen then at TSL, I believe we're going to have 5 minutes for the resumption of this session. While we wait for the session to get back underway, Ewan Dunlop caught up with a couple of our drivers for our other Saloon Car Championship here this weekend, the Lancaster Insurance MG Owners Club Championship earlier on.
Of 3 races in the MG Owners Club Championship, final weekend of the year. Our leader overall is Will Sharp. Will, you've barely been off the podium this year. It's been a tremendous season.
Yeah, it's been a season that we've hoped it was going to be like this. I've got a new guy looking after my car who's made sure that it's been prepped a lot better every single race. A guy called Mark Wright, and yeah, I've been fully focused and trying to drive a little bit maturely, let's say, and just really thinking about the car position and where I am and trying to maximize and not putting too much stress on the car.
And qualifying's gone well. Great start to the weekend.
Yeah, qualifying was great. I mean, I've not been at this track in the midget since 2010, and it's amazing to get out there. Lovely track, great people. I love it being Wales, and my car's suited for the track, so we're good things hoping.
You're leading, but things are close because there's another thing that's come into play now for this race today, that you're on half point because there's only 3 cars in the championship. Right. Steve's going to be on full points. You'll be on full points tomorrow. So I mean, it's going to be foot down all the way, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can get the calculator out and look at points all day long, but at the end of the day, you've got to press the foot as hard down to metal as it will go, and just try and overtake everything in front of you, and still using a bit of your head. But it's not going to be an easy task, but we're leading it, and I'd rather be there than anywhere else.
Will, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Right, let's go and speak to Steve McDermott. And here we are then, we moved along the pit lane a little bit, found Steve McDermott, our reigning champion, in second place overall at the moment this season, leading the class. You've got to look in front of you and behind this weekend, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, looking in front, that's just a bit of a cherry on top. So the overall, it's looking like Will, but it's racing. You just don't know what happened. We've got 3 races, so but really it should be easy in the bag. Obviously, I've got Scott very close behind me, so we can't make really any big mistakes. I've had a good start. I've got pole. That's a point in the bag.
Yeah.
Just got to keep it on the black stuff. They all count. They all count.
Now, you were just mentioning, as we spoke just then, about the point system here. We know Will is on half points, but also he's got to drop a few points. Tell us about that, for those that don't know how the dropped point system works too.
Yeah, so at the end of the season, we do 15 rounds, but we drop our 2 lowest scores, so only 13 count.
Yeah.
So at the moment, he's dropping 11 points.
Yeah.
But if he goes out and has half points, he's not got to drop 11 anymore. He's only got to drop the 6 from there. So he doesn't lose as much as he would have. So, but anything like that just inches me to a little bit closer to him, but I am still, like at least 10 points behind him anyway.
I mean, 3 races this weekend. Until we cross the line, 3rd race tomorrow, we really won't possibly know until that point, will we, with the drop points and things. Like, get your calculators out at home here. But I mean, we could talk about points all day long. I mean, like you've just said, keep it on the black stuff.
Yeah, you've got to finish well, and then we'll see what everybody else does, because there's 3 of us. We've all got to finish well. Yeah. First you've got to finish.
It is going to be a thrilling 2 days and 3 races here at Pembrey. Steve, best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
No worries.
Cheers.
Right, let's go for the first time this weekend, MG Owners Club Championship Racing.
Well, not quite ready to go racing with the Lancaster Insurance MG Owners Club Championship yet because of a slight delay to our qualifying session for the Welsh Racing Drivers Association Sports and Saloons. They will resume for 5 minutes to complete their qualifying session as soon as the track has been checked for any spill fluid from John Morris's car after his engine appears to have let go. Just looking at the points chart in the MGs. Yeah, Will Sharp's on 138, Steve McDermott 125, but then as Steve was explaining there, we've got dropped scores to consider as well. So we'll await till the maths have been done to determine who's going to be champion. Won't make a concrete announcement at the end of race 3. A couple of cars ready to go back out. I can see Gareth Johns, Ginetta, Verity Banks and the Fiesta. There's Mike Cook as well in the BMW. All set to go back on track. For the 5-minute resumption of this session. Although it looks like the majority of cars may be heading back to the paddock. So we may not see very many more laps being done. There's Mike Cook. Haven't seen his car really during this session. The BMW 330 Club Swat, it's an E46 BMW. Been with this championship for many years in a variety of Beamers. He's never won the title outright though. Mentioned Blake Edwards, Colin Gunderson and Ken Davies. They won it in Porsches. Martin Davies won it 4 times in his Sapphire Cosworth. Peter Dark and Graham Cole in their Darians. Mark Chandler won it in a Mini in 1998. This championship takes everything. Terry Brown won it twice in the early 2000s. He took many overall wins in a Radical. And also won the title in a Skoda-based special saloon, of the kind made famous by Tony Sugden, among others. Rodri Jenkins, he won it twice in a Honda Civic. Andrew Williams. Not sure if that's the same Andrew Williams who's out in his Clio here. Don't think it is. Won it twice in another Sapphire Cosworth. Mentioned Keith Butcher. Reese Lloyd, who you may have seen on our Brick Car Trophy coverage this year, won it in a Seat Leon Cupra. Now races his Clio, of course, for Dragon Sport. Michael Cond was champion in a Silver Riot kit car. Dom Evans in his Caterham. We've mentioned Russell Haggerty in his Ford KA. Chris Morris was champion in 2013 in a Suzuki Ignis. That's a car more often seen in rallying. Keith White in his familiar BMW Z4 silhouette car. Mike Moss in his Caterham in 2018. Tyrone Lafarelli, who I believe is son of Fabio. Could be wrong on that, apologies if I am. In his Peugeot 106 in 2017. And the 2021 champion Gareth John is waiting to go out again in his Ginetta along with Verity Banks. Last year it was Colin Dunn in his Renault Clio. Of course, due to the global pandemic, the championship didn't run in 2020. But it proves that this series takes all sorts. One name I missed out there, Sam Summerhays, from a classic mini racer, won it in a Citroën Saxo in 2015. Green flag waves then. Gareth John goes out, followed by Verity Banks in her Fiesta. Now these two, they're not going to challenge for overall pole position. Everybody else, I think, is back in the paddock. We'll wait and see though if anybody else emerges. They won't be in the pit garage, as you can see there. It's the MG Owners Club Championship that's using them this weekend. We won't see John Morris back out, of course, because his Tigra is broken. Let's see if Gareth John can move up the times. He's 5th fastest at the moment. 0.8 of a second behind Lafarelli's Mini in 4th place. Worth getting a bit more track time in. The little Ginetta G40 GT5, seen these cars in Ginetta's various championships, the Yorkshire-based sports car manufacturer, mostly supporting the British GT Championship. So Gareth John starts his flying lap. Down to Hatchets. Hard on the brakes into this tight area. You can see it's tricky in a car, never mind in a truck. And the right flick of Spitfires into the left at Dibeni. A little bit of dust there being put down on the oil from John Morris's car. This is where he came to rest after his engine let go. And the left out of the crossing. And straight on towards Senna. Sometimes we see the extra loop in use there where the cars go a little more straight out of the crossing and then flick round to the left, back onto the straight before Senna, but not being used this weekend. Down Speedway straight out of Brooklands. Then towards Honda Curve to end the lap. There's Verity Banks in her Fiesta, the only Class 1 runner. So I don't think these two are going to threaten the overall pole position. It is Derry Davies on top in the Darien, ahead of Damien Longartano. He's top in Class 4, and Chris Everill in Class 5. Derry Davies, of course, an invitation class runner. Craig Attard in the Rocket Dog Mazda in Class 2. Robert Rees BMW Mini in Class 3. Verity Banks, the only Class 1 car out on track. Gareth John did improve to P5 with a 105.834. We're just a couple of minutes of this session to go. Let's hand down to Ewan, see who he's found down in the paddock.
race at the MG Owners Club this week, and we've already heard from Will Sharp and Steve McDermott, who are fighting for the top of the championship. But as is the case every single year, in the F class, there's always a brilliant battle. Last year, you may or may not be aware, it actually went down to the calculator after the last race, the day after the last race, to get the calculation right. But we do know that right now, in car number 5, Stuart Plotnick is leading the championship, trying to take it away from last year's winner Mark Baker, who was of course in this race. It always seems to be you guys in this championship, doesn't it? And this year you're on top right now.
Yeah, a bunch of old fogies, and it's just a question of which one of us wins, I think. It's pretty close. I mean, we're all within a tenth of each other. It's difficult to make any predictions, so I'm just going to give it a go and hope for the best.
Because I think you were third last year behind Mark and Simon, so it's nice to have your turn at the top. Yeah. Just really quickly, distinctive livery, what's the story, please?
I'm not very creative, so when Simon put his tiger stickers on, I quite liked it, but tiger was taken, so I ended up with the stripy donkey.
Tell us quickly about qualifying today.
Yeah, it was good. I had a lap which they didn't get, which put me less than a tenth away from Mark, and I think Simon was 200ths slower than I was, so we were all within a tenth, or we should have been. I had a tyre delaminate in free practice, so put a set of wets on. So qualifying was great. I'm just hoping it's not going to rain now because I haven't got any wet tyres left.
It looks lovely right now, and about 20 degrees tomorrow. One thing we always notice about this class, and especially the entire series, it is incredibly friendly, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we have a great laugh, especially the guys in the F. I mean, we've all raced together for, God, it's got to be getting on for 20 years now. A lot of respect, both on and off the track, and we have a good time in the paddock and a good time, you know, at night after the racing, and the racing is extremely close, so really you couldn't ask for more.
Brilliant. Stuart, best of luck.
Thank you very much indeed.
20 years racing, it's your turn now, all right? We'll see you shortly. We've just about heard the buzzer. They'll be going out very shortly. We've got 2 cars qualifying out on track at the moment, so I think I did hear they got about 2 minutes remaining, so we're going out very, very shortly. Now, in terms of the F class, didn't want to say it to Stuart, bloody bad luck, but I think this weekend with the 3 races, all he needs to do is finish those 3 races and he's pretty much guaranteed the title. Of course, he'll want to do a lot more than that though. So MG Owners Club Racing, look at the little line here. They're absolutely beautiful, from the Zs to the MGs. We've got midgets of here. Of course, Will Sharp's in his midget, and that is a beautiful car. You won't see him at the front of the pack, but in his class, he is very likely going to be a winner. And of course, the overall championship, it's points in your class. They all add up, and he leads at the moment by around about 10 points or so. However, in that class, with only 3 cars racing, as he's told us, they are going to be on half points. It is absolutely all to play for in classes and the overall championship. Don't go anywhere for the next 20 minutes or so. 2 more of these to come tomorrow as well. Over to you, Dave.
Cheers, Ewan. Yes, good to hear from a couple of our drivers down there. And we've heard the permutations on the points. I will let the championship officials do their calculations on that, and they can confirm who has taken the championship at the end of play. Will Sharp and Steve McDermott in contention for the overall championship. I can tell you qualifying has concluded for the Welsh Racing Drivers Association Sports and Saloon Cars. There was no real change in the final 5 minutes of that session, only Gareth John moving himself up to P5. So Derry Davies quickest, ahead of Damien Longatano and Chris Everill. Very close between them, only 0.18 of a second covering the top 3, so it should be a good fight for the win in race 1, which is coming up at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, first on the programme. Fabio Lafarelli 4th fastest, and Gareth John. John Morris, hopefully the damage isn't terminal on his Tigra and he can make it out tomorrow, and we'll have the full complement of cars out there. Wayne Spiller looking to win the overall title, but we'll turn our attention back to the locally based championship tomorrow, because it is time to go MG racing very shortly. The Lancaster Insurance MG Owners Club Championship's final race of the season. In terms of the contest for overall wins this year, the overall wins have pretty much been divided up between the more modern ZRs of Steve McDermott and Scott Bugner, the ex-Ford racer, at the wheel of his yellow ZR. They had some terrific duels earlier this year. Well, Scott Bugner has missed a round at Castle Combe. He didn't race there. So behind on scratch a little in the points, but it's all when drop scores come into play at the end of this weekend we'll see the champion worked out. Will Sharp has dominated Class A. Class A is for Abingdon, the classic class, where those cars were built, the MGBs and the midgets. And his MG midget's only been off the podium once this year when he had a non-finish at Snetterton. Lancaster Insurance, the long-time title sponsors of this series, along with Toyo Tyres and Wayside Adhesives, the partners of the championship. So Will Sharp's already sealed the Class A title. Class F's the interesting one, only 10 points covering Stuart Plotnick, Simon Kendrick and Mark Baker in their 3 MGFs. As out they come from the assembly area. We've got Class B in action as well. There's one Class B car, which is actually 2 Class B cars, I apologise. 16-year-old Riley Price, he's in a ZR 160, the less powerful ZR. And an MG Maestro, yep, there's still some out there. Anthony Bate at the wheel of his Maestro. And in the invitation class, just look at that on the 3rd row of the grid. You're not seeing things. 93 Alan Forster in an MG Montego Estate. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's even liveried in the colours of the most famous racing estate, the BTCC Volvo from 1994. Rickard Rydell wouldn't be seen dead in it. In position then on the grid, let's have a look at the lineup. Pole position it is Steve McDermott, looking to take another championship. It'll be his 3rd in succession if he can, in his ZR, alongside his rival 25 Scott Bugner. 2nd row ZR of Andrew Priest, number 87, 53 Mark Baker, the first of the MGFs. Row 3 Alan Forster in the Montego Estate and Stuart Plotnick, the points leader in Class F. Row 4 Simon Kendrick MGF and Jimmy Work, number 82 in his MG ZR, newcomer to the championship this year. Row 5 is former Maestro racer Adrian Olsen, number 3, and Andrew Robinson, number 30 in their ZRs. Back to row 6, we've got the first of the classic class runners, 66 Will Sharp, alongside number 70, which is Anthony Bate in the Maestro. Row 7, number 17 Riley Price, he's in his ZR in Class B, the less powerful ZR, alongside number 14 David Amphlett in his MGB Roadster, and another MG Midget at the back. Now, number 6 is shared between 2 drivers, which are Nigel Walcott and John Diffie. I believe it's John Diffie in the car for this first race. We'll confirm who's in the car for each race later on in the weekend, but I think it's John Diffie driving the car for this one. So they'll head out for their green flag lap. This will be a 15-minute race. Steve McDermott, the former motorcycle racer, in pole position. Runs a building company. Prepares several of the cars in this championship as well. His son Jake McDermott's appeared in the championship. He's also a cousin of Jimmy Work, who's in car number 82. Looking for his 4th overall championship, Steve McDermott. And his, well, 4th in succession, actually. I was going to say 3rd in succession, but the series wasn't run in 2020, of course. Alongside him is the number 25 Scott Bugner. He's previously raced a Ford Fiesta and a Focus. His father Sean's appeared with him in the championship this year as well. There's John Diffie, former Ginetta racer at the back in the midget. Sharing the car with its owner Nigel Walcott in the 1500cc MG midgets. It's got a Triumph engine in that car. Nigel Walcott won this championship back in 1994 in an MGB. There's the car we're talking about at the back. Sharing the costs in sharing the car this weekend. Scott Bugner has taken a few overall wins this year. 2nd in Class Z. He's had 5 wins this season. Second row of the grid will be the first of the MGFs. That's Mark Baker. Been racing since 2006. Has an overall championship to his name as well. He sits 3rd in Class F at the moment, behind Plotnick and Kendrick. Stuart Plotnick has also raced in Lotuses. Overall champion back in 2009. So drivers tend to stick with the MG Owners Club Championship for a long time. It's a very friendly championship administered by the great MG racer Jim Bainham. Hopefully we'll see him back on track next year. There's the Maestro, number 70, which is Anthony Bates. Lives down in Cornwall. Number 17, that's Riley Price, the youngest man on the grid, just 16 years of age, making his debut this season. David Amphlett is behind him. Been racing since the late 90s, been classic class champion 4 times. Alan Forster's raced all sorts of things. He's raced Legends cars, Formula V single-seaters and plenty more besides. Previously appeared in a Maestro, now that's in that incredible Montego Estates. You may grin, but wait till you see how that thing goes. It's a very potent runner, that car. Not scoring points this weekend because it's in the invitation class. So it's McDermott versus Bugner at the front of the pack. They'll be contending for the overall win. This will be a 15-minute race, waiting the all clear. Green flag is waved from the back of the grid. The 5-second board is held aloft. The revs are up. And away they go. Decent start by Andrew Priest from the second row. Trying to move across is Stuart Plotnick in the white MGF, but it looks like it is Steve McDermott who's got the lead as they head towards Hatchett's hairpin for the first time. The charge of the MG Brigade into the hairpin for the first time. Andrew Priest is going to be caught in the middle. Look at Plotnick up the inside. Could get into the top 3 here. He could go for second place on the inside of Bugner. Everybody's through the hairpin okay. McDermott leads, Bugner's held second, Plotnick is up into third ahead of Priest. Then it's Simon Kendrick in the orange car. Mark Baker didn't make the best of starts there. He's lost the lead of the class to Stuart Plotnick, who's looking to take Class F title this weekend. They head out towards the back of the circuit for the first time for the Lancaster Insurance MG Owners Club Championship's first race of 3 this weekend. Side by side there for 4th. Kendrick making the move on Baker. The Montego Estate up there behind him. Looks such an extraordinary sight out there, the Montego, but it's not the first Montego Estate to race in this championship. Andy Campbell had one back in the 90s when there were full grids of Maestros and Montegos. Mark Baker tries to move back again, side by side, and Simon Kendrick tries to put the squeeze on. Alan Forster closes up behind them in the 93. Then it's Jimmy Work in the number 82 ZR. But it's the 2 ZRs that have set the pace in almost every race overall this season. McDermott against Bugner for the lead of the race. Plotnick under fire from Andy Priest as they cross the line. The 87 under braking for the hairpin, could get P3. He does so up the inside, takes the place. So it's Andy Priest who moves up into the overall podium places. Made his debut here at Pembrey 12 months ago. A couple of third places this season at Thruxton and Donington. Looking for another podium finish here. Jimmy Works got ahead of Alan Forster in the Volvo BTCC liveried Montego. Behind him is Adrian Olsen, the championship veteran in number 3. Then a gap back to the Maestro of Anthony Bates. He'll be leading Class B ahead of Riley Price as they head down towards Brooklands. You'll note it says on the back of the estate there, Monty ZR. That tells you what power plant is under the bonnet of that Montego estate. It is effectively an MG ZR underneath. Looks great, doesn't it? How many racing estate cars can you name? I can think of 4. 3 in BTCC, the Honda of a few years ago, the Volvo, of course, the Subaru Levorg, and we saw a BMW estate in the Classic Touring Car Racing Club last season as well. Down towards the hairpin. It's keeping up with the smaller cars around it, going for the outside on Jimmy Work here, the number 93 of Alan Forster. Chased by Adrian Olsen, the Dayglow yellow car. Then it's Bates. Behind him is Andy Robinson, number 30, with his ZR. And Riley Price. Will Sharp is leading Class A, but of course Class A will get less points this weekend, which could even things up, because they've only got 3 cars out there. If you have 3 or less runners in your class, then the points are reduced. Sharp leads from Diffie. Then behind him, it is David Amphlett in the number 14 MGB. I can't remember the last time this championship race with only 1 MGB on the grid. They're normally one of the most numerous cars out there, along with the ZRs. There it is at the back. Multiple classic class champion. Normally, of course, we see the famous Jim Bainham out there in his MGB, and that car was scheduled to be raced by Lewis Saunders this weekend, the former junior saloon car champion, but sadly not out there. Completing this third lap, 1.2 seconds is the lead for McDermott over Bugner. Will Sharp just needs to concentrate on trying to win the Classic division. He's appeared in a more modern ZR over the years as well, but loves his MG midget. He's raced Porsches with his brother Henry as well in the past. Swing their way through the crossing. The battle of the MGFs is well and truly on. The White Tiger of Stuart Plotnick ahead of the almost Dodge Viper striped number 53, blue with the white stripes of Mark Baker, the earlier shape MGF. Of course, back in the late 90s, there was the MGF Cup 1 Make Series, and running very deep into the turn, nearly losing it. Mark Baker, he's all over the place, he's on the grass. Oh dear. Mark Baker makes a right mess of Brooklands, just too late on the brakes there. Rally crosses his way back on, but he's lost a lot of ground. That's given the class lead by a clear margin to Plotnick over Simon Kendrick. Mark Baker really has had all the bad luck this year. Well, the two leaders have already gone through. Still Andy Priest in third place. He's about 6.5 seconds behind our top two now. There's Baker just ahead of Anthony Beatty, and the Maestro's nearly clipped there by one of the ZRs. That was Riley Price, I think. Let's have a look at that again. Mark Baker trying to go around the outside. Yeah, just lost it on the wider line. No grip on the muddy grass. Here's the Montego. We had a few Montego saloons in the championship in the past, racing with the Maestros, and I think one of them at one time was driven by Jim Edwards Jr., who we now see in the Brick Car Trophy with the Ginetta, the father of Jade Edwards, the British touring car racer. I think he raced a Montego many years ago. Closing up on Simon Kendrick, but here's our leader. The MK Hydro Dipping sponsored ZR of Steve McDermott. Looking to close that gap on Will Sharp and try and steal the overall title. Scott Bugner in second place. They're well ahead of the rest. 2 seconds between the two leaders now, just over. And that's Priest through in third. He's another 7.5 seconds down. Fourth is Plotnick. Then it's Forster up there in P5 in the Montego. Then this fight for sixth place. Kendrick against Jimmy Work, cousin of our race leader, Steve McDermott. Another man to have converted this season from motorcycle racing. He's got Adrian Olsen on his tail. Started racing in 1990 in an MG Maestro. Returned in 2019 to the championship in the ZR. The best results he's had this year are a couple of fourth places. Jimmy Work very much on for Rookie of the Year honours, I would think. Other names not out this weekend, sadly, in Class Z. Phil Walker, third in the points. James Wade, as we said last time, not of darts fame. Martin Wills as well. Martin Wills, who tends to do something a bit different with this championship. He brings a ZR and an MGF and uses one car in each race. But Martin not in Wales this weekend, sadly. Going up towards half distance in this race 1 of 3 this weekend for the Lancaster Insurance MG Owners Club Championship in partnership with Wayside Adhesives and Toyo Tyres. Alan Forster in the Montego ZR is catching Stuart Plotnick. Oh, Anthony Bate pulling into the pits. Problems for the Maestro. So that's going to give the Class B lead to Riley Price, the 16-year-old in his ZR, the less powerful ZR 160 as opposed to the 170s seen in the top class. Alan Forster having a look, he's having a go at Stuart Plotnick. You've got to smile, what a contrast, the little mid-engine sports car and a Montego estate attacking it. The variety of British club racing. Another estate, if you could call it that, was the special saloon Reliant Kitten that we saw several years ago. Simon Frowen was the last man to race that car. Not sure where it is now, still out there somewhere. Simon Kendrick heads the next group, ahead of Work, Olsen and Baker. Mark Baker fighting back, he's got the headlights on after his mistake earlier on at Brooklands. The lead gap is now up to 3.2 seconds, so Steve McDermott is pulling away from Scott Buckner. Andy Priest in third place. And Stuart Plotnick, the number 5 machine, leads the MGFs. He won't mind too much if Alan Forster gets past, and trying to get down the inside there, closes the door, because Forster not scoring points. He's an invitation class car. All Stuart Plotnick will want to do is keep Simon Kendrick behind him. He's been preoccupied at the moment with Jimmy Work chasing him down in the ZR. Jimmy Work, the 4th of the ZRs. Nice to see the classes well mixed here at Pembrey. Normally we see the ZRs clear off in front ahead of the Fs. Class A further back. Class A still being led by Will Sharp. John Diffie in 2nd place. They're 12th and 13th overall. Riley Price now leads Class B for the older and less powerful MGs of the 90s. With the demise of Anthony Bates into the pit lane. There we see in the background the Maestro going into the garage. Race over for him. Hopefully not weekend over. Mark Baker down the outside, attacking Jimmy Work, who's having to work hard to hold on to his position here. Adrian Olsen giving chase. Just under 5 minutes of this race to go. Good, clean, competitive racing from the Lancaster Insurance MG Owners Club Championship. And here are the leaders. The gap is 3.8 seconds. Steve McDermott out for a Saturday afternoon drive, heading for his latest victory. Should keep him in pole position for a championship challenge as up the inside the Montego goes through. Stuart Plotnick ran wide at Brooklands, but Plotters is fighting back in a straight line. But the Monty ZR holds him off. Wonder what Jan Lammers and Rickard Rydell would make of that car being in the old Volvo colours. There's David Amphlett at the back of the field in the MGB. Really hoping we see Jim Bainham back out next year in his famous MGB. The car competed in the Will Hire 24-hour race, among other things, at Snetterton. John Diffie's going well. Up on the tail of Will Sharp. This is not what Will needs. To be losing ground to Steve McDermott in the championship. Of course, dropped scores still to come into play as well. Will Sharp with the 1275cc engine in his MG Midgets. John Diffie has a 1500cc engine in his, so a little bit more powerful. And well clear of David Amphlett. There he is in the background with the white roof. Sharp goes wide at Debenny. This is John Diffie's opportunity to try and take the lead in Class A. Side by side through the crossing. Sharp's got the inside for Senna. Holds him off. Bouncing around on the suspension at the back of the circuit here at Pembrey. 3 minutes to go. Will Sharp is not getting any rest at all here. The man from Nottinghamshire. Neither Simon Kendrick, because he's got Jimmy Work all over the back of him. Although he is closing slightly, I think, on Stuart Plotnick, Simon Kendrick. Yes, he closed by a few tenths on that last lap. And look at Mark Baker up the outside. All the way round the outside of Jimmy Work, and he's through. Superb from on the brakes from Mark Baker. So the MGF battle is not settled yet. They're catching Stuart Plotnick, definitely. What's the gap that time through? 0.6 of a second. Here comes Baker. Fired up after that mistake earlier on. Saw him on the grass at Brooklands. He won't want to make any more errors. He's going for second in class. And of course, sixth overall. Oh, that's Adrian Olsen. He's pulled up at Debenny. Not sure what's happened there. There's only 2 minutes left on the clock. That car quite close to the circuit, so whether we could see an early finish here as Baker goes for the outside on Kendrick. Mark Baker is flying round the outside again. Can he get ahead of Simon Kendrick? Not quite. Fastest lap of the races with McDermott, 109.231. And Mark Baker trying the outside again into the hairpin, but Jimmy Work is shadowing him this time in the Elixir Ink tattoo studio car. The yellow flag is out there as well, of course, because we're going towards Debenny, where Adrian Olsen has stopped there. We see the marshal with the yellow flag. Yes, there's Olsen's car. It's covering that with yellow flags, so I'll have a look at it for the rest of the race. So it's looking good for McDermott. He's nearly 5 seconds clear now. He's going to take the win. 1 minute left on the clock, so it'll be last lap this time. This is the main battle for P6 and second in the MGFs. 2 MGFs going well, staying ahead of Jimmy Work. There's the leaders. Over the line they go, 5.1 seconds in it. Here comes Baker, he's got the inside this time on Simon Kendrick. Goes through to second in class now. I don't think he's going to have enough time left to catch Stuart Plotneck. The gap between those two we'll look at as they cross the line here. Yes, that gap is up to 2.7 seconds. Steve McDermott on his last lap now. He's beaten by Scott Bugner 3 times in the first 4 races this season. Heading for victory number 6 of the 2023 Lancaster Insurance MG Owners Club Championship year. Into Honda Curve for the final time. Checkered flag will be in sight. There is the checkered flag, and Steve McDermott wins it, signalled home by his mechanics. Scott Bugner will come over in second. Third place, it's going to be Andy Priest for his 3rd podium of the season. His first full year of motor racing. Well done to number 87, Andy Priest, the man from Cheltenham. Alan Forster in the Montego will take a brilliant 4th. Stuart Plotneck will win Class F. That's an important victory for him. And Mark Baker holds off Simon Kendrick for 2nd in class. Just behind them is Jimmy Work. Good race between those 3. Meantime, in Class A, it is going to be a class win for Will Sharp. He's held off John Diffie in the battle of the MG Midgets. Ahead of them, we've got Andy Robinson in 9th, Riley Price across the line to win Class B in 10th place. Sharp comes over in 11th. 12th for Simon Diffie. The other finisher is going to be David Amphlett. Everybody finishes on the lead lap. 13 laps completed. Bad luck to our 2 non-finishers there, Adrian Olsen and Anthony Bates dropping out. Hopefully we'll see them back out for race 2 tomorrow, which will be gridded according to the 2nd fastest lap time by each driver in qualifying. But it is Steve McDermott who takes the win. 13 laps completed. Yeah, 13 laps completed. I think issue with our timing graphics there. They only showed 8 laps completed. Apologies there. So a bit of a gremlin there. It was 13 laps completed. The winning margin 5.5 seconds for Steve McDermott over Scott Bugner. Andy Priest taking 3rd place. Class winners were Alan Forster in the invitation class, a superb 4th overall in the Montego Estate. Class F went to Stuart Plotneck ahead of Mark Baker and Simon Kendrick. Good recovery by Baker after his off. And in Class B, it was Riley Price, the only finisher. Class A went to Will Sharp ahead of John Diffie and David Amphlett. So the championship battle still wide open. But our race winner has pulled into Parc Ferme alongside race control. Hopefully we can head down to Ewan Dunlop shortly to hear from some of our drivers. One more race to go today. More truck racing coming up shortly.
Cheers, Dave, here with our race winner. Already got the finger in the air for the cameras. Steve, we spoke before the race. You needed to win this one to keep the pressure on Will. You've done exactly that. Well done, mate.
Yeah, it all went my way, and the car was just spot on. I had a couple of tweaks from this morning because we really destroyed a tyre earlier on, and a couple of other drivers done it as well. So it paid off. The car just got stronger and stronger and more stable. So I just started pushing and pushing, and then all of a sudden there's a big gap.
I mean, you got that gap, and in fairness to Scott, he didn't really close it or couldn't close it because of your driving.
I say the car was just spot on, and sometimes when you just feel like you've got it, you can push that extra bit, and it just hung on. So yeah, I had a couple of sketchy moments, but nothing really scary. So
you're going to take this back to the paddock, not touch it at all before now and tomorrow, no?
I can't do that. I always do something, because I always think, is there a little bit more? Yeah. So it won't be exactly the same. Tomorrow's a different day. You've got to be in it to win it.
Enjoy your evening. Good luck, mate.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Let's go and speak to Scott over here too. So Scott Bugner, second in the Z class at the moment. He really needed, if we're perfectly honest, to win that, and Steve not to even finish. So I think the championship in terms of the class is absolutely done now, but we'll have a chat with him anyway. Again, he's been superb this season, always been right up there, but when you've got a guy of Steve's class around you, you've got to do something pretty special week in, week out. So Scott, second place, mate. We know you kind of needed to win that one, and Steve even not to finish, of course, but for the championship. But did you enjoy yourself out there today?
Yeah, it's an interesting track. It's interesting. I've never been here, so it's quite interesting.
Wow.
No, yeah, no, it's bouncy.
Yeah,
it's really bouncy.
It's pretty flat, but
I don't feel like it in the car. Don't feel like it, but no, it's good. I think it's going to be really hard to overtake. I think that's the main thing. Got to try and get him off the line, but I tried. But I think Mr. Priest outbraked himself a little bit, and at the back of me going into the first corner. We'll do some work overnight, and we'll try and beat him twice tomorrow.
He said his car was absolutely on form today. What can you do to yours to catch him? What are you going to do to his car, maybe?
No comment.
Mate, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy. And let's bring in Andrew. Andrew, congrats. Yeah. Another podium for you, well done.
Yeah, really good. I quite like this track. It's first one I did last year. First time I'd sort of been racing anywhere. Came here. So yeah, it's quite nice to actually come and do a track that I've actually seen before and driven on before. So yeah. That's good.
You've got an evening to think about now, 2 races tomorrow, and what can you do to get on the top 2 steps?
Try and change from second to third would be helpful.
Okay, yeah,
I basically spent the whole race there down at the hairpin coming on the back straight. Second to third every time. I couldn't get it in there. I was losing so much time. That's the excuse anyway.
But how's your season gone so far? Because we're almost at the end now. 2 races tomorrow.
Oh, I loved it. Amazing. Like, I've sort of surprised myself, I guess. So first season, and you know, I'm not okay. It's a country mile in effect because you're half a second a lap or more away from it. It's just, you know, you're never going to stay with them. But no, I think I sort of surprised myself really because I didn't have any idea where I'd be, and you know, sort of in amongst it. So
what we see so often around this class in this championship, as you've got right now, is just smiles everywhere. It's a great place to be, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like the paddock's great. Like everybody helps each other out. It's like a lot of motorsport, isn't it? But yeah, it's really, you know, really friendly atmosphere. If anyone's got a problem, anyone's got tips or anything, like no one's precious. It's yeah, it's nice.
Mate, podium, well done. Good luck tomorrow.
Cool. Thanks very much, mate.
Thanks a lot. Right, only our third and final race of the day coming up next. It is back to Pointy. It is the British Truck Racing Championship. Race 2 today. This is officially race 1 of the Pembrey weekend, though. Over to you.
Okay, we'll hand down to Pointy in just a moment. So as Ewan says, this is race 1 of the Pembrey weekend. We're going to move on from the Thruxton race that was earlier on as just a little bit of a warm-up. And the grid for this next race, which is our final race of the day here on race 1 at Pembrey, is going to be race 1 for the British Truck Racing Championship. And the grid was set by the qualifying session earlier this morning. I can tell you Ryan Smith has continued his clean sweep of pole positions so far this season, so he gets a point towards the championship. We've already added that on. He leads by 53 points over David Jenkins and Stuart Oliver, who are joint second. As we say, I'll let the MG Owners Club Championships officials add up their points because it saves me getting confused over dropped scores, which I know has happened a few times in the past. Anyway, while we await the trucks to head out onto track, let's see who Pointy's found down in the paddock.
Well, we've got a few moments left before the next race, but I had time earlier on, just after that Thruxton re-race, to speak to Paul Rivett down in Parc Fermé. So here we are over in Park Ferme now, just the other side of a now very busy circuit here at Pembrey with Paul Rivett. Paul, how are we doing, buddy? Taking a good position for the first race of Pembrey, but it was Thruxton. Did you find your way round okay? Because it's obviously not Thruxton, is it?
Well, Thruxton's really changed since last time I was there. I'm
Totally
sure it was
different.
faster than this, but no, it's obviously such a shame to lose that last race at Thruxton, but great for the championship to put it back on here, and great for the fans this weekend, you know, to come and see 6 truck races in one weekend.
If you're here for the weekend, there is a lot going on, right?
Yeah, it's going to be busy tomorrow, 4 in one day, you know, that's a good day out at the end of the day.
It's a big day, yeah, that's true. The people that come down the Sunday, and as well, I think for the drivers as well, it's interesting because when I used to do the European, it was a very busy day there as well. You know, there wasn't much time between races, there was a lot more races, and yeah, how do you think the teams are going to cope? Like the actual, you know, the mechanics and things?
It's tough for them, it's always tough for them anyway, you know, there's never long turnarounds anyway, so it's extra tough, but, you know, they're a good bunch, these boys, they know what they're doing, so I'm sure they'll be just fine, and, you know, we've got a great bunch here with our Napa team, so yeah, we'll maybe look after them a little bit more than usual, but
so doing well in the championship so far, very well in the championship in fact. You know, it's, you know, are you getting good feedback from the people paying the bills?
yeah, it's I believe so. Yeah, it's all sort of going to plan at the moment. Obviously, we did start off on the back foot massively, missing the very first race, and then the exclusion after winning at Thruxton for a bit of speeding as well. So that's, you know, massively puts us on the back foot. But we're now 11 points behind, and there's 10 races to go. And the way it's going at the moment, we seem to be catching at least 2 points a race. So if we can keep that up, you know, I can just see it all going down to the very last race at Brands Hatch, which again, it's going to be so exciting for everyone watching.
And there's only one DNF between that and victory as well. You know, someone might just not race, and all of a sudden everything changes.
You know, you've got Ash Sutton racing at Brands GP for the touring car title this weekend, and then if he can secure that, and then you know, that's going to go down to the end, and then it's going to go down with this Napa truck to the end as well.
There's going to be lots of trophies at the Napa headquarters soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're pretty positive there should be a trophy somewhere along the line there for you this year. I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch, and I think we've said it before as well, that Division 2 has always been a bit like that. There has been so much more action, and with a smaller pack this year as well, it's really, you know, anyone's game.
Just because it's a small pack, it doesn't take the quality out of it. You know, the rest of these guys have been doing this for a long time, and they really know their stuff. You know, I'm still the new boy to this, and I'm still learning every time I get out in the truck. So, you know, it's great to be out there racing with them, and I've got a lot of respect for everybody here on the grid.
Certainly someone to watch, and fingers crossed we'll be seeing you as more of a staple of the British truck racing diet moving forward.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I'm absolutely loving it. I don't want to go anywhere else, so you know, hopefully you'll see me here for many years now.
Good stuff, I like that. Part of the furniture. We'll see you next year, but we've got plenty more racing before that, only an hour or so before the last race of the day, and then we've got curfew. The one question I've got to ask, have you bought your mountain bike?
No, I've bought my old BMX from when I was a teenager. So
You haven't?
I have. I'm going to be riding that around in my race suit with a charity bucket hanging on the handlebars, taking money off everybody I can for charity.
I love it. That sounds fantastic.
So, my name's Doddy, that is the charity.
My name's Doddy, the charity bike ride. We will be showing you that later on, whether or not you see it live or recorded tomorrow. We will be taking, there's lots of us with bikes in the paddock. Even Jock Borthwick's back. I don't think he should be allowed on 2 wheels for a while though.
No, but he's determined to, you know, pedal round under his own steam. He's got an electric bike, but I've spoken to him and he's determined to pedal round.
He's going to do it, isn't
electric. He is, yeah. So, you know, if anybody doesn't know about that, get online, have a look on my Facebook page or on the My Name's Doddy charity page. There's ways to donate. It's a great cause. They're doing lots of great things. So get on, have a look, and be generous.
Be generous. There we go. Right, well, Paul, we'll let you go. Get ready for the next race. Good talking to you. Paul Rivett, ladies and gentlemen, Division 2. So here we are with moments to go before the last race of Saturday, but the first weekend race I've had time to catch up with Stuart Oliver, and someone you've probably not seen on camera before, his partner Leona. Now Leona, tell us, what's it like being the driving force behind a professional racing driver?
It's amazing. It really is amazing. I am excited that every weekend that we go racing, I so look.
There seems like a tiny bit of sarcasm coming through in your voice, Leona. If you could try and keep it serious for us, that'd be really good.
No, it's hard work. He enjoys it. He's happy. When he's happy, I'm happy.
What a beautifully well balanced relationship that is.
We have a fantastic relationship. He thinks he's in charge. He knows
He thinks
that
he's in charge. That's it.
Charge.
There we go. It's like the Barbie movie all over again.
Yeah, no, it works well. We work well together. We are a good team.
I suppose it has to be a team, doesn't it? Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. We have like my mate Rosie, she's been with us since 2007, 2008. She knows what I'm thinking, so she knows by the look on my face when I'm looking at someone that I'm probably thinking you shouldn't be here, and I probably will say something. She will step in and she will sort of like guide them in the other direction, but it's brilliant.
So quickly on to preparation then. Now, we'll ask Stuart how he prepares for a weekend after, but when does the planning of a race weekend actually start? Because obviously everyone at home sees us on a Saturday and a Sunday, but when do the wheels start turning, so to speak?
What, for us to actually come, right, so normally it's the end of when we finish the race previous, the weekend previous.
Monday morning, wake up, right, we've got racing in 3 weeks, we've got to go shopping.
And I need to know who's coming, how many people are coming, who's going to be there to help, how many vehicles we're going to have, who's going to be sleeping in which vehicle, who's going to be doing the cooking. Is Big Mike coming?
Is Big Mike coming? It's a very important question.
If Big Mike is coming, he's doing the breakfast. I don't have to get up and do the breakfast. So it generally starts the weekend after we just finished the last race.
And then just as a kind of caveat to that, Stuart, how do you prepare for a race weekend?
I just say to Leona we're racing in 3 weeks.
You couldn't write it. I had a vibe. I had a feeling it was going to happen like that. Oh, you didn't let me down. You didn't let me down. Stuart, obviously we're at Pembrey now. You've had a pretty good season so far. You are literally on the tail of Ryan Smith, but points-wise, he seems almost untouchable now as we're going into the penultimate round.
He does, yes. With racing, luck has to be on your side. It comes with obviously the ability to do it as well. And Ryan, he gets the boundary right, pushing it right to the edge, and he can, and looks on his side pretty much all the time. And he's a good driver. He's got a nice MEN powered truck, which I'm led to believe it's not.
No, it's an MEN. Well, no, it's a Daimler Freightliner.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the body kit that counts.
So power plant.
Like your Volvo, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
Renault, whatever MAN, it's lots of
but no.
Hybrid. Yeah, it is.
Hybrid, that's right. But power plant wise, we're on a par. But he's got a new truck. I've got a 15-year-old truck she is now. So it takes a bit. It's high maintenance. The prep to come here and get it ready is immense throughout between the races, not just doing the catering and getting everything all ready and the race suits washed and everything. We've also got to get
basically, other than the cooking and the cleaning, there's man work to do as well.
Yeah,
right?
there's man work.
Well, no, this is all a joke, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I just want you to know we do not want to have any letters of complaint. It's all a wind-up, all right? Just calm yourselves.
It's been a good.
Rosie, cancel the letter.
Yeah, cancel the letter. Yeah, and dinner.
Yeah, so there's a lot of preparation work, but this has been a great season. You're like all of them, There's 20 trucks here, maximum capacity, and good crowds following us. We'll have to put up with yourself, which is
sorry about that. You keep inviting me back. That's the only problem. You don't tell me not to come. I think that's close to the truth.
You just keep turning up. We don't invite you. You just keep appearing. But no, it's a great. It's great that how it's everything clicks together, with what you guys do on and off, off the track, what we do on and off the track, what the girls do, on and off the track, but at home and off the track. So it's if it isn't a family affair and it doesn't work like that, it's very difficult to do it. But no, happy.
Well, looking forward to seeing what that true team effort does for you for the first official Pembrey race of the weekend, and I think it's time we'll probably hand it back to Dave in the studio. You need to go and get your suit on, you need to go and get your soup on, and it's time to go racing.
This is my suit.
This is your suit. Yeah, well, helmet.
Oh, helmet.
I don't know, Pointy. What are we going to do with him, eh? Never mind letters. The only person who only gets letters of complaint, meanwhile, is me. But anyway, we're almost ready for our final race of the day, the British Truck Racing Championship. The grid set by qualifying this morning. And so it is Ryan Smith who takes the pole with Stuart Oliver alongside him. Second row, David Jenkins and Stephen Powell. Michael Oliver and Simon Reed on row 3 missed the Thruxton race because he missed Thruxton with business commitments with the family freight firm. Craig Reed, hopefully he's repaired and back out on row 4 alongside John Bowler. Bradley Smith and Tom O'Rourke will complete the top 10 in Division 1. Behind them, Simon Faulkner and Jock Borthwick making his first appearance of the weekend. Yes, he's back after those injuries sustained on his motorcycle earlier in the season. Row 7, Ricky Collett will start alongside Neil Yates. Neil electing to start from the back of Division 1 as a newcomer. Ricky Collett failing to set a time in qualifying earlier on. Back to Division 2, Adam Bint snatched pole position with the very last lap of the session, 28 thousandths of a second quicker than Paul Rivette. Craig Evans and John Powell next, Simon Cole and Jim Bennett round out the grid. 20 trucks out there then for our second of 6 races this weekend. This is the first proper Pembrey race. TRP DAF heads them round. Ryan Smith on pole, looking for win number 16 this season. Paul Rivette looking for win number 13 in Division 2 after his victory earlier on. Adam Bint desperate to get back to winning ways there, without a win since our last visit to Pembrey. He's only had 5 race wins this year. That was all at Brands Hatch and Pembrey. Consistency has kept him in the title lead, but only 14 points ahead of Paul Rivette now, so it's going to be a real run-in to the season in Division 2. Ryan Smith leads by 53 points in Division 1. Stuart Oliver joint second now with David Jenkins, the big 3 at the top end of the grid. Stephen Powell, he's 5th in the championship, 4th on the grid here, the number 3. Just 1 Division 1 win in his career so far. It was at Thruxton last year. The Powell family celebrated like they just won the championship. We know Bradley Smith is suffering from handling issues, the man who's 4th in the championship this year. He's 101 points off the championship lead, so still in mathematical contention for the title, but it's unlikely. 15 points down to 1 is the point scale, plus a point for pole position in qualifying. Ryan Smith's got all of those this year, and a point for the fastest lap in each race as well. I think Ryan Smith's just about got all of those in Division 1 as well. Final checks being made. In the sunshine of South Wales, we're on board with Bradley Smith. There's Craig Reed in front of us. Good to see Craig's back out. Bit of luck in the race earlier on when he went off while in second. His brother Simon out for the first time this weekend as well. Those 2 Ivecos indistinguishable from a distance. So I'll apologise in advance if I call the wrong Reed. There's John Bowler on the left as well, the number 14. He's had some wins in Division 2 here at Pembrey in the past. The man from Stockport near Manchester. Another 15-minute race coming up then to round off the day here at Pembrey. Hopefully we will see the drivers get on their bicycles as well at the end of the race to do those laps for the My Name's Doddy Fund in aid of motor neurone disease research. The campaign started by Scottish Rugby International Doddy Weir. Various events going on at the Rugby World Cup in France at the moment. I think a couple of fans walking from Edinburgh to France to raise money for MND. And of course we have young Holly Brownsell, who's been lapping the various race circuits of the UK with her dad Carl on their bicycles to raise money as well. It was great to meet them at Convoy in the Park earlier this season. Holly's done a lot of work with the British Truck Racing Championship since. I said earlier, she'll be after Pointy's job soon. Okay, the marshal's ready with the boards. The engines will fire up these 12 and 13 litre engines, developing almost 1,000 horsepower apiece. These 5-ton trucks, limited electronically to 100 miles per hour. If you exceed that speed limit, as we heard from Paul Rivette earlier, you could risk being disqualified. Green flag is waved by our marshals, and here we go. On board with Jock Borthwick. Great to have him back. You can see the amount of electronic wizardry there is in the cab of one of these machines. You'll also see that Jock be steering with one hand and working the gears with the other. Borthwick, who comes from St Boswell's, not far from Glasgow. Not been too many Scottish drivers in truck racing. There's never been truck racing held in Scotland, to my knowledge. Knockhill Circuit's Scotland's only permanent race circuit, not really big enough for race trucks. I remember several years ago, Archie Argo, who was based up in the north of Scotland, used to travel down to race at the likes of Donington. Would hate to have seen his diesel bill. That was in the days of Kurt Goranson, Richard Walker, Slim Borgwood, who sadly passed away last year, the great Swede, ex-Formula 1 driver, Steve Parrish, even Barry Sheen was a truck racer. I'm getting nostalgic again, I do apologise. A number of lady racers have taken part in truck racing as well, perhaps most notable among them Davina Galitsa, the former Olympic skier. And briefly tried to break into Formula 1 as well. Brian and Kaz Garnett, also most recently Wayne and Joanne Eason. Steam pouring from the water-cooled brakes on Adam Bint's Volvo, just out-qualified Paul Rivette with his last lap of the session this morning. Pace starts to quicken. Ryan Smith's hanging back from the pace truck here, you can see there in the background. 15 minutes of racing then. Second of 6 races this weekend, the first official Pembrey race of the British Truck Racing Championship's penultimate weekend of 2023. Can Ryan Smith seal the Division 1 title this weekend, or will it go down to the finale at Brands Hatch? David Jenkins and Stephen Powell on row 2. Stuart Oliver out to get back to winning ways from the outside of the front row. Ready to rumble here in South Wales. The revs beginning to rise. The pace truck is in pit lane. Here we go. Riding on board with Bradley Smith, this run to the hairpin is certainly not going to be for the faint of hearts. Waiting for those red lights to go out, the power will come on. And here we go with the second race of the day. Good start by Stuart Oliver down the outside in the number 7. He cuts across Ryan Smith and will break right in front of him. Great start by Stuart Oliver. Look at Stephen Powell charging up the outside. Surely he's going to overshoot. No, he's not. There's a bit of push and shove on the inside there. I think one of the Reeds was involved, Michael Oliver as well. Somehow they've all made it around the hairpin. Simon Cole gets it sideways. Now, what's the order going to be? Well, somebody off on the outside. I think that was John Bowler in the number 14. It was. Craig Reed's lost his front bumper. More bad luck for him. As we're underway then, the yellow flag out though on the exit of Hatchets because John Bowler has come to a stop. It's Stuart Oliver that leads just ahead of Ryan Smith as they charge their way around the back of the circuit for the first time. That was a brilliant start by Stuart Oliver. Stephen Powell got a flyer as well up into third. Simon Reed is fourth. Michael Oliver is in fifth position. The big loser at the start there was David Jenkins, who's down into sixth position from third on the grid. Ricky Collett seventh. Simon Faulkner's got a flyer as well. He's up to eighth in the 92. Then it's Borthwick, Bradley Smith, and our Division 2 leader is Paul Rivette. What's happened to Adam Bint? He's down to fourth in the class from pole position. Maybe starting from the outside is an advantage. John Bowler's gone off again in the background. Looks like he's got damage. Down to the hairpin for the second time. Stuart Oliver from Ryan Smith. Stephen Powell in P3. Then it's Simon Reed into Hatchett's hairpin for the second time. Michael Oliver keeping pace with the leaders. It shows just how much that tight hairpin can shuffle things at the start of a race here at Pembrey. Craig Reed is next. Swing their way through towards the crossing. Division 2 is led by Rivette, ahead of Evans and John Powell. Can Stuart Oliver hold on in front then? It's a long way to go. It's only 2 minutes into this 15-minute race. Michael Oliver running well. David Jenkins down into 7th place now behind Craig Reed. An awful first lap from him. Ryan Smith trying to get alongside Stuart Oliver as they come out of Brooklands. He won't quite get the line away there. Stuart hasn't won since the third race at Thruxton earlier this year. That was back in July. And 2 wins at the opener at Brands Hatch. Only 3 wins for the number 7 this year so far. On board with Bradley Smith, chasing the returning Jock Borthwick, his first race since back at Pembrey in May, where he had a win. Sadly had that accident on the Isle of Man. Through the hairpin, Ryan Smith gets the exit a little bit tighter, but he can't get the line away. He won't get through there on Stuart Oliver. Volvo from Freightliner. Stephen Powell still holding on ahead of Simon Reed for 3rd place, so the order a little bit shaken up in this race. And of course this race will set the grid for race 3 tomorrow, with the top 8 in each division reversed. Well, there's only 6 in Division 2, so it'll be a full reverse for Division 2. There's David Jenkins, only 7th place for the MAN. He had a poor first lap. Ricky Collett in 8th place in the 95. There's Borthwick. Simon Faulkner's got ahead of Bradley Smith. That's MAN certainly not running too well this weekend. Paul Rivette's clear in the lead of Division 2. He is closing down Adam Bint's lead all the time. He's ahead of John Powell. Bint's up into 3rd in Division 2 now, so they've relegated Craig Evans down to 4th. Next in the order, Neil Yates in the last of the Division 1 trucks, then Simon Cole, Jim Bennett and John Bowler. No, correction, John Bowler's last of the Division 1 trucks, sorry, because he went off on the first lap. Outside comes Simon Reed, trying to take 3rd place away from Stephen Powell. It's in the second half of the lap you stand more chance of making an overtake. Powell in the HGV Direct and Dines Recovery, sponsored number 3, also sponsored by Cameramatics. Simon Reed, the man from Stoke-on-Trent, giving chase. It's the Northumberland driver Stuart Oliver, the 10 times champion, who leads, looking for his first win since July. Out to Brooklands comes the 3rd place battle. Ryan Smith still there on Oliver's tail, the 2 bonneted trucks together. See Oliver trying to move to the inside, so does Smith. Stuart Oliver just that little bit too quick in a straight line. He made such a rapid start from the outside and then cut across the nose of Ryan Smith. He knew he had to do that, otherwise Smith would have been away like a shot. Adam Bint back in 3rd in Division 2. This is not where he wants to be. Smith tries, he's having a look there. Doesn't get the line away down into the hairpin. Meanwhile, we're going side by side almost for 3rd. It's not hard to know where to look as they head into the hairpin this time. Simon Reed trying to go round the outside. He won't get through there. Michael Oliver's closing up, so are Craig Reed and David Jenkins. 7 of them covered by less than 6 seconds. 8th is still Ricky Collett, so if it stays like this, he'll have pole position for race 3 tomorrow. Race 2, which is the first action we have tomorrow for the trucks. It's the 2nd race of the day at 9:30. Will be set by the grid will be set by the 2nd fastest times from qualifying. Jenkins giving chase. It's been a frustrating year for David Jenkins. Finally scored his first wins of the year at Snetterton last time out. There are the leaders, through towards Honda Curve. Oliver from Smith. Change for 3rd as well. Looks like Simon Reed has got through ahead of Stephen Powell. Indeed he has. Finally the Iveco ahead of the MAN. Craig Reed holding off to David Jenkins further back. Now Simon Reed's got to defend his position. Further back there's Collett, Borthwick. Borthwick's got ahead of Bradley Smith. And Simon Faulkner. There's Paul Rivette leading Division 2 ahead of John Powell. What's the gap between those two? 2.3 seconds. Lead gap is 0.79 of a second. Adam Bint still 3rd in Division 2. We've lost Craig Evans. The number 10 truck has pulled into the pits. He was 4th in Division 2. So that place now goes to Simon Cole, ahead of Jim Bennett. John Bowler's got ahead of both of them, recovering after he went off on the first lap. You just see him there in the background, the blue and red number 14. He's had 1 win this season in a shortened race at Thruxton after Neil Yates' accident. Neil is now running towards the tail of the field in P15. in the sunshine of South Wales, coming up towards half distance in our last race action of the day. Stuart Oliver continues to lead Ryan Smith. 0.86 of a second is the gap. There's Neil Yates, the white truck in the background, the recovery company boss. Certainly needed some recovery after that big shunt at Thruxton. He was fine. Bit of a baptism of fire to truck racing, certainly. Stephen Powell's been caught by Michael Oliver. Looking to make it 2 family members on the podium if he can get ahead of these 2. Fastest lap of the race so far has been done by Stuart Oliver, so that'll be an extra point. Top of the 15 he will take for the win. 73.8 miles an hour average around Pembrey. Craig Reed still defending from David Jenkins. We'll work out after the race who's put up the fastest lap in Division 2. I think it's Paul Rivett. There's still nearly 7 minutes to go. Here comes Jenkins. Further back, Jock Borthwick's caught Ricky Collins as well for P8, and P8's important because it gives you pole position for the reverse grid race tomorrow. Leaders over the line and the gap has come down. Ryan Smith's just done the best lap of the race, 1:10.8. He's got the gap down to less than 0.4 of a second, I can tell you now, as we watch David Jenkins on the inside of Craig Reed. He's going to go through into the hairpin, up into 6th position. So Jenkins gains a place. There are the leaders, you can see. Ryan Smith getting a second wind. He's closing up. They're coming up to lap Jim Bennett in the Sed Atkinson as well. Simon Reed still third. He's pulled away from Stephen Powell. There we see the fastest lap confirmed for Ryan Smith now, so that'll be an extra point if he can hang on to that. He's all over the back of Stuart Oliver now, and he has to go wide there as Oliver takes the line for Brooklands. That's dropped him back again. I think Ryan Smith's getting a little bit too desperate there, and here comes Jim Bennett. You can see him watching his mirror. They don't call him Gentleman Jim for nothing. Always very courteous to his fellow racers. He knows the Sed Atkinson's not as quick as the trucks around it. He moves aside, lets the leaders through. Good driving by Gentleman Jim Bennett. Over the line they go. The lead gap now back up to 0.95 of a second. Smith lost a bit of time there at Brooklands. Just over 5 minutes to go. Smith trying to close back up again. They're 4.2 seconds clear of Simon Reed in 3rd place. Here's a battle in Division 2. This is Adam Bint ahead of John Powell. This is for 2nd in Division 2. Paul Rivett up the road is leading the way by. We'll check the gap as they come over the line. There's a black and white flag out for number 5. That's Adam Bint. Warning for driving standards, probably for exceeding track limits. No, the lead gap in Division 2 is up to nearly 6 seconds now, so Paul Rivett is heading for another victory. Win number 14 of the season, I think that will be. Stephen Powell trying to lap Jim Bennett. He's in 4th place, being chased by Michael Oliver. There's Simon Reed ahead of him, looking to make up for lost points. He wasn't allowed to take part in the first race today because he wasn't on the grid at Thruxton. David Jenkins still holding off Craig Reed. He'll be ruining that crash in race 1 when it looked like the steering broke. Run wide there, kicks up the dust, well, kicks up the mud on the outside of Honda Curve. This is the battle for 4th. Down into the hairpin. Michael Oliver, who had that huge lunge in the first race into the hairpin, didn't work. Nice to see the Welsh flag flying there in a couple of locations on the banking. So here's John Bowler attacking Neil Yates. Excuse me, he says, and goes through. That's up into P15. These are the tail end of Division 1, 12th and 13th in Division 1, these two. They're behind Rivett, Bint and Powell. Still the lead battle goes on, and Oliver pulled away a little bit on the previous lap. He's over a second clear of Ryan Smith. Jock Borthwick all over the back of Ricky Collett in the 95. Champion back in the 90s. There's a yellow flag out there. Somebody gone off. Let's have a look in the background. I didn't quite see anybody. look at the timing screen as they come over the line. I can tell you that Stephen Powell is back up into P3. It's Michael Oliver. Michael Oliver is off, and that will be a red flag because he's not far off the edge of the circuit. I was just out of my view there. Michael Oliver has gone off. So the red flag comes out with 2 minutes 43 on the clock. That will be a result declared. And so Stuart Oliver will take the win. Now we'll wait to confirm the result there because that's confused the timing screen a little. On board with Bradley Smith. So we will wait to see what lap the result is taken from, because that may affect who's taken third place, because Stephen Powell and Simon Reed were close again. But what we do know is that the win is going to go to Stuart Oliver. Fastest lap will go to Ryan Smith, so they'll both get 15 points. So the gap will remain the same between those two. David Jenkins will lose ground because he was down in about 5th or 6th position when the race was stopped. So there you can see it's at Brooklands. Michael Oliver's just gone out wide and slid off into the mud. So the race, yes, just confirmed, it will not be restarted. Results will be declared. So the provisional results will be Stuart Oliver ahead of Ryan Smith, Simon Reed third ahead of Stephen Powell, David Jenkins in 5th ahead of Craig Reed. Michael Oliver had dropped down to 7th in the timing screen, but he won't be classified as the cause of the red flag. So Ricky Collett and Jock Borthwick will be 7th, 8th. That'll give Jock pole position for tomorrow. Bradley Smith and Simon Faulkner will complete the top 10. Paul Rivett will win Division 2 ahead of Adam Bint and John Powell. And just looking down the timing screen, looks like Paul Rivett will get... oh, hang on. Adam Bint has been given a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits, so he will drop down to 3rd in Division 2 behind John Bowler and Neil Yates in the Division 1 trucks. Simon Cole and Jim Bennett, the final finishers. In fact, the result being taken back to the end of lap 9 we see there. So Oliver the winner ahead of Smith. Smith gets the fastest lap of 1:10.855. Division 2 is won by Paul Rivett ahead of John Powell and Adam Bint. Fastest lap in Division 2 will go to Paul Rivett. Time for me to do the maths then. While the recovery crews go to work getting Michael Oliver out of the mud. Already been confirmed the race will not be restarted, so the trucks will be sent round to the paddock. It has come up on the timing stream. Well, there were only just under 3 minutes of the session to go, so I don't think we're going to see a restart. It did come up on the TSL timing screen that the session would not be restarted. So I will attempt to work out the points from that race. No points for Michael Oliver, of course. He will not be classified as he caused the red. We'll await Pointy to talk to them when he is ready. Down in Parc Fermé, yes, looks like the truck's being sent away from the grid. The tractor being brought in to recover Michael Oliver. See, it is pretty muddy here at Pembrey today. Now Ryan Smith being told to stop there by one of the marshals because I think they have to be led by the pace truck back into the paddock. So Ryan Smith jumping the gun a little bit there. The results taken from the end of lap 9 then in this prematurely halted race. Stuart Oliver taking the win, just over a second ahead of Ryan Smith, with Simon Reed in third ahead of Stephen Powell. Michael Oliver showed in fifth, but will likely be taken out of the results of the cause of the red flag. So David Jenkins will be fifth ahead of Craig Reed, then Ricky Collins, and Jock Borthwick. He'll take pole for our third race of this Pembrey weekend, the second race tomorrow. Bradley Smith and Simon Faulkner complete the top 10. Paul Rivett wins Division 2, well ahead of John Powell, because Adam Bint picked up a 5-second penalty. He finishes behind John Bowler and Neil Yates. Simon Cole and Jim Bennett complete the finishers, as of course we lost Craig Evans into the pits. So I'll wait for Pointy to head over to Parc Fermé then, in the truck paddock. Michael Oliver able to drive away, just checking the steering's okay there. So the gap is the same, because Stuart Oliver won it, Ryan Smith was second and got fastest laps. They both scored 15 points, so 53 points is the gap. David Jenkins is now 4 points further back. And Bradley Smith, despite only picking up 7 points there, retains fourth in the championship, ahead of Stephen Powell and Simon Reed. Craig Evans, who pulled off into the pits during that race, is signalled away by the marshals. Just got to do the maths in Division 2 now. Paul Rivett got 16 points. John Powell on 14 and Adam Bint on 13. So the gap is now down to 11 in Division 2. That concludes racing for today then. It's a full day of racing tomorrow. We kick off at 9 AM with the first of 3 races for the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship. We saw them qualifying earlier. That's followed by our next truck race. Then the Pickup Truck Racing Championship joins us. If you've not seen them before, you've got a treat coming up. Yeah. Not like the pickups you see your local tradespeople using on the road. They are very specialised machines indeed. We've got another race for the Lancaster Insurance MG Owners Club Championship, and then we continue through the day right up until 4:20 PM. The last race is due off, the final race for the trucks. 3 races each for the MGs and the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship. Another 4 truck races to come, 3 for the pickups as well. We will also have a classic car parade scheduled tomorrow afternoon, as well as around 1:40 PM. Quite a few classics on show in the paddock here today. Craig Evans, his Division 2 championship hopes now over, I would say, as he goes into the paddock. A non-finish for him. See from the camera on Bradley Smith's truck, a little alternative view of the paddock as he pulls in to refettle the truck ready for tomorrow. Oh, there's our pace truck as well. So in the points, we've mentioned Division 1. In Division 2, Adam Bint leads Paul Rivett by just 11 points now. That gap is coming down all the time. John Powell is now 20 points further back, and Craig Evans is 53 points off the championship lead. So it's looking increasingly likely it'll be between those 3 drivers at the top. Still a long way to go yet. 4 more races this weekend, 5 at Brands Hatch. Now I think Pointy has finished his cup of coffee and made his way over into the paddock. So let's hear what he has to say.
Wow, they let us cross the road eventually. So here we are in Parc Fermé. Let's have a chat now, belated even so, to the lucky race winner, Stuart Oliver, or should I say Leona, who obviously made it all possible.
That's right, yeah, that was the way she made the sandwiches.
Oh, mate.
It was the sandwich, the ingredients in the
You could have
sandwich.
just said thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Leona.
Wow, I tell you what, I mean, it's a shame obviously Michael went off the way he did. Not the first person to find the grass this weekend by a long shot.
No.
But my God, what a favour he did you without even realising, right?
Yeah, he did, but I was comfortable there. The truck was really. I knew where Ryan was strong. I knew where I could get away from him. And it was, but there was a lot of where you can see by the front of the trucks. There's a lot of mess on the track.
A lot of mess.
You had to be quite selective where you went.
And I'll tell you what, just to reconfirm the comfort that you were in, you'd actually pulled ahead by another 0.2 of a second by the lap when it got red flagged. So unless Ryan had something up his sleeve, you were looking pretty good with regards to your lap times.
Yeah, absolutely. I was quite comfortable where I knew, like I said, I knew where he could get us and I knew where I could get away. So I think was it 2 laps left. It's a pity you didn't go to the checkered flag.
Would have been great.
Would have been great. Yeah, but I would have had an even bigger gap in front of him.
Yeah. And so modest, so modest.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, great battle, really good race. I mean, there was lots going on there, edge of our seat. We saw a lot of Division 1 drivers racing with Division 2 at one point as well. I'm still not 100% sure why that happens.
No, well, I'll watch the replay later. I mean, I couldn't see that for some reason. I don't know.
You never made it round far enough to see the
we'll
back
have to get
of
a
the
big screen in the cab so I can watch it.
Not a little 32-inch in the corner, like.
Yeah,
I think that's the way. Well, massive congratulations. Well done, very well deserved. Make sure you say, well done to Leona as well. Just to be behind every great man. Right, behind every great man. Thank you very much, Stuart. Well done, good job. Simon, where's Simon? Let's see, let's find Simon. Excuse me, well, hello, Team Reed, how the devil are we? I mean, you can be in it, I don't mind. You don't all have to. Everyone's scarpers when you show up with the camera, don't they? Simon, well done.
Yeah, no, spot on, mate. Ready for that, to be honest.
And there was a bit of a confusion with TSL at the end. We're not sure. When they're back in the studio, they were wondering what was happening between you and Steve Powell, whether or not something would stick. But no, it was pretty quickly confirmed that you'd certainly made it all the way to third. So, what starting off of that race, where did you find that gap? What can you remember how you managed to get to the position you were in?
It was just, like I say, everybody, I'll be honest with you, I dropped a bit of a ball with the start and loaded it up in top gear. What I was thinking was top gear, and I was hoping it was low 8s. Loading it up, and I'm thinking it isn't boosting up, is it? It was too late. They were gone, so I had to clutch it, get it boosted up, and catch up in effect. And then, just come round and just obviously put some pressure on Steve, and nip past him, and then just. Yeah, got a bit of a clear road. Obviously, at that point, then Ryan and Stuart are away with the job, and I just sat in third and cracked on.
Just played gatekeeper and took your position in the race.
Yeah, no, well tough for Ryan and Stuart, but hat off to Stuart. He took it from the start and held it.
It was, I mean, when they got into the first corner, I looked, I was like, blimmin' heck, he's done that. He's done that well.
No, he's done, and that's the. That's the joys with Pembrey. As much as if you're on the wrong end of it,
you will end up crashing on the first corner.
It'll bite you. But if it comes right and you get the sweep round and just get nip out without the damage or a clout, then you're away. So
4 races tomorrow, 4 whole races tomorrow. Now you weren't obviously at Thruxton, so you didn't race in the earlier on race, did you today?
Right, yeah.
So 4 races for you in one day. Is that going to be a challenge for you and the team? Do you think?
It will be. We're all set for the job, to be honest. We're a cracking bunch of lads, and they all know what's got to be done. And the trucks are now, we've got them to a point where they're a bit preset now. So, we're pretty comfortable with 4 races, and it's more it's more, time in the, more, sort of seat time.
It's true. I mean, that's what you're here for, isn't it? I mean, obviously winning trophies is fantastic, which you've definitely got one today now. But of course, it's all about getting behind the wheel and enjoying yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Getting comfortable, getting a bit of a setup going. A few tweaks between myself and the other 2 lads that are looking after the truck, and just work it out. And the pros and cons. That's the other part of the job. Getting to get the times down, and obviously where you're picking people off. And also having to jump on the back bumpers where you can nip them and where they'll pull on you, and then homing in where you need to be doing it. That's the joys of racing. There's so many aspects to it. It's brilliant.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us. Well done on your trophy. We'll get you some silverware handed out shortly. Simon Reed, ladies and gentlemen, fantastic effort. Have we still got Ryan Smith knocking about, or has he now taken his leave? Sounds like everyone's setting up. Oh, he's on the phone. He's on the phone. Well, we shan't interrupt him. Adam, how are we, buddy? Have you got a second? You'll be back. Oh yes, Adam's. I was going to go and get his wrist slapped. 5-second penalty, unfortunately, put Adam quite far back in the pack, which is a shame actually, because he was doing a very good race. So hopefully we can contest the track limits, and we'll see if that might change the results. But until then, I'm going to hand back to Dave in the studio for some words from our sponsors. Or actually, to be fair, we're just going to wait now because I've got trophies, and then we might or might not get to see the charity cycle race. Well, it's a race, it's just some laps of Pembrey. Holly is doing it all in aid of My Name is Doddy Foundation. Again, I think Paul Rivette told us about that earlier on. If you want more details, head over to the British Truck Racing Championship page, or of course, My Name is Doddy, and please do feel free to do a little cheeky donation on there. I'm going to go and get some trophies and hats ready, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
Cheers, Pointy, and thanks to Ewan as well down on the ground this weekend at Pembrey. Day one is complete. We will see some highlights tomorrow of the cycling event that's taking place shortly, because it is now almost time to end. So good luck to Holly and everybody else lapping the circuit on their bicycles this evening. This is the schedule for tomorrow. Then we kick off bright and early at 9 a.m. with the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship. Then after that, it's the next British truck race of the weekend. The second fastest times from qualifying set the grid for that one. Then the first race for the pickups, followed by race 2 for the MGs. Then the programme continues through the day. 3 races in total for the Welsh Sports and Saloon Cars, 3 for the pickups, 2 tomorrow for the Lancaster Insurance MGs. And we've got no fewer than 4 truck races as well. There'll be a parade of classic cars as well during the afternoon. That's scheduled for 1:40 p.m. We'll bring you some highlights of the cycling event taking place this evening as well. But that's about all for day one here at the Pembrey Circuit in South Wales here on BARC TV. We'll see you all bright and early at 9 a.m. tomorrow for more great race action here at the home of Welsh Motorsport. But it's goodbye till then.